All right. We are in it live and in living color here on a glorious Selection Sunday. Best day of the year if you're a college basketball fan, really a sports fan as a whole. It is so exciting and to go on and fill out the bracket and everything. We're excited for the show. We're excited for talk about the bracket, share our brackets. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of entertainment throughout this show, but we'll have plenty to talk about. First of all, I'll start by saying, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm good.
Doing good. Happy Selection Sunday show, or Selection Sunday to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Like that,
Yeah,
too.
we're dripped out. I got the Final Four shirt on. We're going to try to
the number one
replicate
overall
that.
seed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that became a discussion the last couple of days for some reason because people don't know how. Well, I was going to say people don't know how the criteria works for the selection committee, and obviously they went against their own principles with some of the decisions they made. So, but yeah, no, it's funny. It was funny to hear people the last couple of days being like, Auburn fucking lost. They shouldn't be the one seed, and it's like it's not how it fucking works. Like, luckily they have 16 quad one wins, so nobody was touching that.
Yeah, and deservingly so. I knew they were going to be the one seed. I did hear people saying how they might not, how they shouldn't be, but yeah, I knew even coming into the tournament, just like I said last week, even if they lost in one of the games, they were still the best team. Still should be the number one overall, which they got. So
I agree.
I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead.
It's based off, what you do an entire season, not just in the past, 1 or 2 weeks.
Or in West Virginia's case, the first 8 games, because they were eliminated as soon as Tucker DeVries went out.
Yeah.
Good point.
Tough one. They were, in fact, the first team eliminated this year.
That is, yeah. We'll get. I'm gonna finish retweeting these links, and yeah, but I mean, yeah, we can get into that for sure, because that'll be our first point of. I guess before the bracket, because we talked about it, Matt. That in the group chat, that awful Big Ten game earlier.
Horrible. Yeah, it offended me.
horrendous basketball there
Yeah.
in Indianapolis, but. Who would have thought when we made our picks last week that we'd be sitting here talking about the Big Ten champion Michigan?
yeah,
Not I.
I definitely thought Maryland was.
I did pretty well in those picks, but Michigan was not one of mine. So
yeah, I'll have to go back through and tally up the picks. I know I did. Hey, shout out to my hometown Alabama State Hornets. I picked them, and they locked up a bid last night.
They might play us.
I'm really hoping
I saw that.
I'm hoping so too, dude. That'd be sick.
I drive by their stadium on the way to work every day.
Yep.
So, that's home territory. That'd be a fun matchup. We kind of got the Bermuda Triangle of Alabama into the tournament with Auburn, Troy, and Alabama State all making it.
I mean, we almost had UAB was almost in it,
Right,
and then North Alabama was in their conference tournament championship as well.
Sanford should have made it.
Yeah, we were actually 3 teams away from having 6 total representatives out of the state of Alabama.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, we do need to start with. We'll start with the bubble, and Jacob's going to join. By the way, for anybody watching, wondering where Jacob is, he should be in momentarily. I know he said he was almost home. So, but yeah, we'll start with the outrageous inclusion of North Carolina into this. So they of 111 bracketologists, 0 of the 111 had North Carolina in the tournament today, which just goes to show, because I mean, all these guys, they're basing these bracket predictions off the bracketing principles that are public knowledge, that are published for everybody to see on how they judge these teams and how they determine it. And there's no logical reasoning for North Carolina's inclusion in this, especially when you also had Xavier included, and North Carolina probably behind Xavier, but I mean, you can have that debate between those two, but I don't think Xavier should have been in either. And then West Virginia, the team that gets left out, and I messed up on my 111 thing. It was 0 of the 111 had West Virginia out, not 0 of the 111 had North Carolina in. But no logical reasoning to the North Carolina over West Virginia pick. And then we got that amazing segment with Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director at North Carolina, who happens to be the head of the selection committee.
Yeah, it just so
popping
happens.
up on the selection show and just just non-answers for like every question. Like they asked him about the process, and they're like, "Well, we evaluated the teams." Like, just danced around it, and then the amazing line that. Like the main ding on West Virginia that kept them out was the absence of Tucker DeVries, who has not played since early December. Over 3 months since Tucker DeVries has played. And as Matt said, West Virginia was the first team eliminated from the NCAA tournament, apparently.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, they were out of there.
Just absolute, like, mind-boggling stuff. And, like, the only thing you can really hide behind for the North Carolina-West Virginia debate is that North Carolina is higher than them at KenPom and in the net. And they're about 20 spots higher in both of those. And I'm sure that's going to be I'm sure there's going to be a lot of heat the next couple days. And that'll be what they use to hide. That'll be what they hide behind to justify putting North Carolina in. But one of the more outrageous at-large inclusions we've ever seen. And, I mean, I know Bubba Cunningham went on there. He recused himself. But, like, I mean, come on. Like, you don't think these guys are having, like, back-channel discussions, and it's like, hey, I'm recusing myself, guys. You know the plan, right?
Definitely.
Just one quad 1 win, 0-9 in quad 1A. Just really, like, I mean, nobody had this either. I mean, they were, I think, plus 500 at FanDuel to make the tournament by the time the selection show started. And then it was one of the first revelations we got. Like, it was in the first region, South region. It's like, bang, here's the nuke that everybody's going to be talking about from this show, North Carolina in. But I won't ramble on about it anymore. I'll let you guys give your thoughts. But I figure we're going to be pretty in unison on this.
Yeah, definitely. I was not expecting North Carolina to get in, especially over WVU. And I have a lot of, as you know, I lived in West Virginia for a bit, and I have a lot of WVU fan friends, and they're all pissed. As you can imagine, they were not expecting it either. So I definitely don't agree with it. And I did see the clip with the director who just so happened to go to UNC talking about it. And even some of the questions they asked him, he straight up deflected to his partner. So the whole thing was a little weird.
Like Matt said this in our group chat earlier, was that the first time in selection show history that the vice chair has been the one explaining?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, that lets you know right there, like, how bogus that is. That they felt the need to, we need to throw this guy on air to kind of, defend it.
Right.
That says everything right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools of thought here. So, first of all, let's just go over this. If this were, blind resume, I think everyone would agree they're out of the field. I think the brand name argument holds some merit. And I do think it is total bullshit that they coordinated it the way that they did. Obviously, they tried to do their best to kind of defend the, admission of them into the field, but they're all athletic directors. They don't want to piss anyone off. So, by leaving them out of the field, they're just going to piss this guy off. He's not the chair next year. So that factors in as well. But yeah, it makes no sense. Like, why have the quadrant system if you're not going to use it to evaluate teams? Clearly that makes no sense. And then if you just look at, the schedule they played, they're like, well, they played a hard schedule. Well, like, you didn't beat any of these teams. At some point, does that not have to matter? Like, I understand they lost by 3 to Michigan State. Like, it's a loss. It does not count. Like, so yeah, I mean, congratulations. They beat UCLA by 2, and that's really it. They did nothing. The rest of the season that warrants them being in. I don't know if they looked at, okay, American made the NCAA tournament, so maybe we can put American or North Carolina in the field, give them another win that they beat an NCAA tournament team. The logic really just does not add up. It just reeks of some form of not necessarily like collusion, but I think this was made up. Their minds were made up ahead of time that this is what they were going to do. That, they apparently they're just like, well, we talked about this Saturday night. It was like, there were 5 games today. And so you made up your mind on, I don't know. I'll just never understand that. This is the most shocking admission that I can remember since I've been watching. VCU in 2011 was pretty shocking. They had a similar kind of non-conference track record. And they did not win the conference they were in at the time. So it was really controversial. That team obviously went to the Final Four. And then, the fact that they unveiled it first, that they knew. They're just like, let's just get this out of the way now. Because everyone's going to be talking, like, let's just get this out of the way as early as possible. So let's make sure that we get this done. So this is the first thing people talk about. But, that's that. So, it's a mess. And they got a pretty easy draw here, relevant to, like, I mean, just they could have done significantly worse. They, match up pretty well with San Diego State. And then they don't match up necessarily poorly with Ole Miss either. They get to that game. So, it just kind of is I've never seen that before, but it definitely feels as if they made out pretty good here, not only with making the field, but the draw they had, if they, were to beat San Diego State, is not totally unfavorable. I don't think they'll beat Ole Miss if they get there, but so nothing really, to take from them getting in besides the outrage, which I guess that's all anyone's going to remember, unless they, at minimum, like I don't know how far they would have to go in the tournament for people to forgive this. Would they have to go to the Final Four, or like, what is the threshold that people would be
what
like?
What they do in a tournament doesn't like change that though. It was like it's the same argument. It's the same argument people made about like whether or not like SMU should have been in the college football playoff. They're like, oh, well, see, they got killed by Penn State. It's like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't change. Like you can't look at that and reflective view. Like, you got to view it from the perspective of like now what they did in the regular season and whether they earned it or not.
Sure, yeah, and this was the same. VCU had the same stuff going on. Dick Vitale's on the bracketology show, like screaming his head off about how bad it is that VCU should be in the tournament. And then, 2 weeks later, everyone's like, isn't this magical? First 4 to Final 4. This is amazing. So nobody really remembers that or cares. So I would assume there would be a point where if they did win enough, that it would not necessarily be forgiven, but that conversation would be over and done with. That would be it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the Bubba Cunningham factor, the TV factor, like, everybody's, people who want North Carolina to be in are just going to shoot that down immediately. And there's no way of obviously knowing that, but it's like, it's pretty obvious what took place here. And like the first commercial after they unveil that is like a Coke commercial that's going to air the whole tournament. And like the first like centerpiece of the commercial is like a North Carolina. It's pretty fucking obvious what was going on here.
I mean, they wanted one of their bigger brands in the big dance. Like, that's pretty obvious. Like, if you flipped, like, Texas was another team who was in that discussion, right? And let's say you're just debating Texas versus UNC, right? And you flipped like their records, like, and you had North Carolina with Texas, or excuse me, like, looked at just just ignore the name brands, right? And you just looked at like blind resumes, Texas versus UNC. Texas had a better resume. Like I know they made it, but like I just don't understand how UNC made it. Like, and it's obvious.
If North Carolina had Texas's resume, they'd be a 6 seed.
What do you mean? I'm just saying as far as
I'm agreeing with you. Like I'm saying if North Carolina had Texas's resume, like North Carolina wouldn't even be a debate. Like
yeah, but if Texas had North Carolina's resume, they wouldn't be in the tournament.
No.
So yeah, we agree.
Yeah. 100%. And I mean, it's like West Virginia is obviously who got screwed in all this, and it's like the Tucker DeVries argument is one of the worst things I've ever heard. This guy, he hasn't played in 3 months.
Yeah, they're trying to piggyback off what Christian said earlier. Like he knows people from West Virginia, and I have family from West Virginia, and like I text a few of them, being like, "Hey, like, how you feeling about this?" And rightfully so, they were mad. Like,
yeah, for sure,
they're extremely like ticked off right now, and like I get why they are. Like, my dad doesn't really care that much about college basketball, and if he does, he's an Auburn fan. Like, but he's from West Virginia, and he was like, "Did West Virginia make it?" Because I told him about how like they're like on the bubble and like close to being in, and I told him no, they didn't, and like I explained to him the whole UNC West Virginia thing, and he doesn't know college basketball very much, and he was like, "Oh, that seems like crap," and I was like, "Yeah, because it is." I'm like, so if someone who really doesn't follow college basketball much can pick up on that, then that's still right there how egregious this is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the factor of it being it's mostly egregious. Let's just be honest, because Bubba Cunningham is the selection committee chair. That's
the worst part about it.
That is the reason this discussion is happening right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
I don't know how you justify putting UNC over any other bubble team. They just had an atrocious record against teams that matter.
I don't know.
And I didn't think that ACC deserved 4 teams in at the end of the season. Yeah,
0 quad 1A wins. 0.
Yeah, and even there at the end, they had 2 chances to beat Duke there in like the last week. Even they got to play Duke with a few of their main guys out, and they still couldn't capitalize on that opportunity. Like, it would have been different had they beaten Duke one of those times. Honestly, it would be a different conversation. But still, even with Duke's main players, some of their main players out, they still couldn't even take down their rival in that. So definitely not deserving of that.
I'm sure that this will be the highest rated first 4 game ever on True TV, and that'll be their justification right there for why they wanted North Carolina in.
Certainly.
On that note, I hope San Diego State just blows the crap out of
it. That would be the worst case scenario for the like. I haven't checked if West Virginia is accepting an invite to any other postseason tournament, but
they got to be one for the crown.
They got to be in the crown.
There's
no ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah, they got to be a crown invite, and so the worst case scenario for them would be if San Diego State beat North Carolina by 15 or something, and West Virginia won their postseason tournament. That would be a mess, but it doesn't really matter anyway. I mean, we're still fighting over like a team that's probably not going to go very far, a team that I think every one of us probably would have picked Ole Miss to beat West Virginia if they went head-to-head with them. So, yes, that doesn't excuse the offense of not having them in the field, but still.
Yeah. Well, anything else on the bubble, or you want to go ahead and pop the South up here and start our bracket breakdown?
I feel like we covered most of it. I mean, it's mainly just the North Carolina thing.
Yeah, we can go into the actual bracket if you want.
Jacob, go ahead. Let's get into the fun. Throw the South up there.
Okay, I'll pull up the bracket. Let me present.
We'll go region by region with this one. I'm figuring unless you guys want to do something different, but we'll go through the region, do a breakdown of the matchups, upsets, and all. And then when we get done with the region, we'll all give our Sweet 16, Elite 8 in the region, and then who we have coming out of that region. And then at the end, we'll all do our, who wins Final Four games, who wins national championship. But that's kind of the format I was thinking for this. Unless anybody objects to that and wants to.
Sure, we can break them down region by region. I think that's the easiest way.
Oh, almost ended the whole thing right there. All right. There's the South. That's what we'll start with. Auburn, the number 1 overall seed. They go to Lexington on Thursday. Have a chance. That St. Francis Alabama State game should be a real barn burner.
If Alabama State doesn't beat the crap out of St. Francis,
St. Francis
is very
is
wrong.
terrible. Yeah.
St. Francis might be
both
one of
those
the worst
stink,
teams.
But yeah.
St. Francis might be one of the worst teams in the NCAA ever. Like, not even kidding.
We are live, no one. Don't know. Yeah, no one. We are indeed live. All right, South. Auburn 1 overall seed. Michigan State had in any other year, Michigan State's probably on the 1 line, but it's the most loaded 1 line ever. So they've kind of been locked into this number 7 overall 2 line forever. Oh, what's up, Russ? So Michigan State, they get the 2 seed. Iowa State's in here. We did get the news earlier today, though, that Keyshawn Gilbert is out for the season, so he won't be returning. That's a huge blow for the Cyclones. And the 4 seed here is Texas A&M. Obviously, right off top, nightmare matchup for Auburn.
Yeah.
If we run into Texas A&M in the Sweet 16. The one thing I did not want to see was Texas A&M.
When I saw them pop up, I genuinely just sighed. I was like, come on, man.
But they have to get past Yale before we have to deal with that. So that's a task easier said than done.
There's some good matchups in the South Regional, like upset matchups, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Jacob. You start us off.
I guess I'll go through and sort of pick all my games. Of course, I got Auburn over whatever 16 seed is there. That 8-9 matchup, that's going to be one of the best games of the first day. Louisville and Creighton, very close team. I'm going to give the edge to Creighton. I think they have more tournament experience. I can't bet against Ryan Kalkbrenner and Ashworth. I think they're just going to carry Creighton in that game. Even if it is in Lexington, even if it is in Lexington, I still think just give me Creighton. I think they've have more experience there for a first-year coach. And Louisville might get caught looking ahead, honestly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Louisville supposed to be a 6 seed?
Yeah, they were very underseeded, which is makes the North Carolina thing
even funnier. It just makes they're like, we're going to dock the ACC, but we're also going to reward the ACC.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean that further jumbles the issue with North Carolina there more. I mean, that was one of when this first popped up, I was shocked to see. The first 2 things that came to my mind when Louisville popped up were A, Louisville is underseeded, and B, Louisville gets a de facto home game, which I don't our fans are going to travel well. So if Louisville gets past Creighton there, I'm not Auburn fans are going to travel. I'm not worried about that. That's going to get played up a lot, but I'm not personally concerned about that. But that's going to be a storyline there, nevertheless. And we can't really complain when the same situation happened with us when we were the 9 seed a couple years ago and got sent to Birmingham.
We were the 8 seed and we played Houston in Birmingham.
One time Purdue's played Kansas and Kansas City, or back in the 80s they had to play LSU twice in Baton Rouge in the NCAA tournament. That's just a horror. It's just kind of one of those things. How does that happen in seeding?
I think
against the lower seed, especially.
Well, most famously, Duke, when Jason Tatum was there, had to play I think those games got moved out of North Carolina because there were some political issues.
The bathrooms.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So they moved that game to South Carolina, and Duke they got crushed in the second half against South Carolina that year. They went to the Final Four, and it was basically a home game for South Carolina, and Duke was the 2 seed. So, yeah, that was a mess. It happens more often than it should. But still, that being said, yeah, it shouldn't be. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
If Auburn gets beat by Louisville, the home court advantage will not be why.
I was just about to say that, we're the number 1 overall seed. And if we're as good as we think we are, it shouldn't matter where we're playing. That should be a huge factor to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think us playing a neutral site in Lexington should be, let's say, just for argument's sake, I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say Auburn does lose to Louisville, and then our fans naturally are going to go, well, if this game was played in Atlanta or whatever, we wouldn't have lost. I don't like that argument because if we're as good as we say we are and we're the number 1 overall seed, we shouldn't lose to Louisville anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing, you know how to neutralize that? Any Auburn fans listening to this, get your ass up and go to the game on Saturday. That's how you neutralize that. So if you're an Auburn fan and you can make it to Lexington, Kentucky on Saturday, get your fucking tickets, go to the game, and because I don't want to hear bitching about it. If you have the means and the ability to go and you choose not to go, and we end up losing the game, I don't want to hear any bitching about the home court in Louisville.
Then you can't be someone who complains about it.
Yeah, I feel confident enough in Auburn's fan base that should be a non-fact. It will be a story that people talk about, but I don't think it'll be a fact. I mean, Houston still kicked the shit out of us when we played them in Birmingham, so it's like.
I mean, obviously we're going, and I've been texting with a bunch of friends who I know they're going. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of Auburn fans there.
The Auburn family will show up. But yeah, Jacob was talking about that Creighton Louisville game. I think I like Louisville on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think the factor of being at home will be good with Louisville, and I think you got a Louisville team underseeded that shouldn't even be here. They should be a higher seed, but I think Louisville's a better team than Creighton this year. Creighton's obviously they're always going to be tough and defend well. They're very well coached, but this is not one of Greg McDermott's vintage Creighton teams by any means. So I think Louisville will take care of business in that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. While Creighton's always going to be one of the most fundamentally sound teams out there, but I think Louisville's better this year. I agree that they're also underseeded severely, but I also don't think they're going to hold up too well against Auburn in the next round, to be honest. So.
Give me Creighton, man. Let's see Kalkbrenner and Broom duke it out. That would be, I'm here for that.
I think, I think Creighton beats Louisville in this matchup.
All right, so it's a tie right now. We got Christian and Travis are on Louisville, and then Matt and Jacob are on Creighton, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll be the tiebreaker here. I'm going to take Louisville. I like them. I'll be the tiebreaker.
Yep. Give me the cards, yes, sir.
Hotly contested game. But let's go down because I think the next game is going to be hotly contested too. Yeah. I'm curious this Michigan San Diego. Let me just say real quick, and I'll throw it to everybody else, but San Diego everybody is going to pick San Diego in this game. They are going to be one of the hottest upset picks of the first round. This is a fucking awful matchup for San Diego. Their tallest player is 6'8", and Michigan has two of the best bigs in the nation. So yeah, if you're San Diego and you're looking at this and where you're going to end up, this is probably the worst possible matchup of any of the 5 seeds San Diego could have ended up with. There's going to be a major disadvantage in the front court for San Diego in this game. So that's going to be the trendy upset pick, but I'm not falling for it. I think Michigan should dominate this game with just that size complete mismatch in the front court. San Diego has done a good job forcing turnovers a lot this year. They're one of the best teams in the nation at that, and we know Michigan struggled with that, but a lot of that has also been against mid-major competition, not a team like Michigan. So I just think don't buy into people who haven't watched college basketball all year picking San Diego in this one. And the rest of you may disagree with me and make me sound dumb, but I think that's going to be a very trendy pick that a lot of people end up getting wrong in their bracket because that is a terrible matchup for San Diego, in my opinion.
I totally disagree. I think this is a perfect matchup for UC San Diego. Michigan, they've kind of gotten by just kind of on a hope and a prayer for the last couple months. They also, another thing going against them, they won the Big Ten tournament. Usually the team that wins the Big Ten tournament, they don't do anything in March. Michigan's been a turnover-prone team. I think UC San Diego can force Michigan's guards into making mistakes. Of course, obviously that Michigan has the size advantage, but if they take the ball away from Vlad Golden, kind of like double him and don't just knock the ball away, take away the turnover, kind of do what Purdue did in their first game against them at Mackey. Not what we did the last two games against them. We just fell apart those games. But I think UC San Diego, I think they are built for March, offensively and defensively. So I got UC San Diego in this one.
Yeah, I don't think there is such thing as a bad matchup for San Diego. I know you're referencing the size. Irvine's one of the tallest teams in college basketball, and San Diego has beaten them once by crushing them at their court. And then, yesterday they did not particularly struggle.
But their bigs aren't as skilled as Golden and Wolf.
Sure. And I do think that, and San Diego's a big team in their own right. They're big everywhere else. I mean, they don't have anyone who starts under 6'4". They do not turn the ball over, and they have exactly the perfect player who can get, the bigs into foul trouble. I know when St. Jones is he leads college basketball in fouls drawn. He leads country in free throw attempts. He's like a bowling ball, and he's going to get to the line whenever he wants. I think the biggest mismatch for San Diego in this game is the guards that they have, because Michigan has had a guard problem all season. Tate Jones is one of the best guards in the country. He's going to get his in this game for sure. And then on the other side, they're not really fazed much by pressure. They don't turn the ball over a lot. San Diego has one of the best defenders in college basketball. Hayden Gray is a stud. Pretty sure he leads college basketball in steals. Steals per game. He's averaging almost 3.5 steals a game. So defensively, they're really strong. They're a really strong defensive team. Offensively, they're really starting to round into form. They're really balanced, but it's going to be as Tate Jones goes here. So I don't think it's a bad matchup for San Diego in the least. I think that they are equipped for this kind of game because they've seen good big men all season, because that's one of the things the Big West has. What they might not have seen, Tate Jones is a huge, giant 6'4" guard. They don't see a lot of those players in the Big West. They don't see someone who, they can just stick on him, and someone of his size and athleticism. Michigan does not have that. They don't have that type of player to guard him with. I don't know how they're going to guard him. So I do think this is a game that should be really close. I would probably pick San Diego if I had to. But yeah, I think they, Michigan's gotten by some of these games by the skin of their teeth. I do think now, I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan won, but San Diego has seen better defenses than Michigan this year. And Michigan has not seen a guard like St. Jones. So that's going to be the biggest X factor in that game. And if he can, get to line and get those guys in foul trouble, Michigan's in for it. So, yeah, I would, I would probably say San Diego is pretty well equipped to go head to head with Michigan. It's not a slam dunk of your classic 5-12 slam dunk, but it is a really good matchup for San Diego, I think. So I think they're
Russ Poppin and Michigan could definitely get beat. I might be on the island in this one, but I don't like the matchup for them.
I personally think this is a horrible matchup for Michigan. Like, of all the 12 seeds they could have gotten, this is the worst one for them.
Christian,
I actually did pick a couple other kind of bigger upsets, but I have Michigan winning this one, to be honest. They've gotten, seems like the ball's been kind of rolling their way the last couple games, with a couple close wins to finish out the Big Ten tournament. And I think they'll kind of keep up that momentum and get a win here. I don't see this. I just don't see them losing, especially because, as you said, their tallest guy is 6'8", and Michigan has a lot better big men than they've seen. So I do think they're going to win this one.
Damn, well, you're tie breaking again. We're at 2-2 again.
I'm kind of liking this position, honestly. Letting y'all go, then really being the tiebreaker here. I'm cool with that. But
this. We're 2 game breakdowns in, and we got 2 hard disagreements. I like it.
Yeah. So just to kind of before I get my little analysis, I'm going with Michigan. Now, I do think this is going to be a closer game. I mean, the spread, it opened up at 3.5. It's already down to 2.5. So I do like Michigan in this one. So I'm going to stick with them and just go with my gut and go Michigan.
Russ, we're talking.
we are reading the chat.
Well,
we're reading the chat.
We appreciate it, but we see all the 27 chats.
Love you, dog.
We appreciate it, though.
Oh my God, that was funny. All right, well, yeah, we got some division here.
It's a good thing.
I guess the Texas A&M Yale game will be up next. This is where I have an upset because, A&M's obviously going to try to get down in the mud in this game, but Yale can do the same thing, and Yale is one of the best 3-point defenses in the country. They can defend it really well, and we've obviously seen A&M have their ups and downs shooting it this year, mainly with Wade Taylor. We know it's obviously volatile, and this game will basically probably come down to what Wade Taylor shows up in this game. But I really like Yale in this matchup. I'm not even being facetious, just picking Yale there. I really do think this is a good matchup for Yale, and Yale's got some they obviously have the tournament experience from last year, and this will be a probably a low scoring grinder of a game, and I think this is a good spot for Yale. I don't want to see A&M in the Sweet 16, so I'm really rooting for Yale to pull that upset there. But I do think it's a good spot for Yale here for that upset, and it's probably going to be another trendy upset pick, but I like that one.
In this game, I'm going to go Texas A&M. I don't think Yale is the same team they were last year. They still have what's his name, James Pokitis or what? Pokitis, yeah.
He's a dog.
He's pretty good. Obviously, they lost a few players from last year's team. I think they're a good team. It'll probably be a close game, but I think Texas A&M, they have more physicality than Yale, so give me them to win that one. So don't have much more else on that analysis on that game.
Yeah, I have A&M as well. I don't see this as I don't personally think this is going to be one of the bigger upsets that happens. I see them moving forward to play Michigan the next round.
Yeah, Texas A&M. I mean, because of what happened last year, Yale's going to be a trendy pick, but I still like Texas A&M.
I am not a fan of the Yale disrespect here.
Yeah.
First of all,
we respect Yale.
I completely disagree. This team is I think they're significantly better than the team that beat Auburn last year.
Yes. That's what makes it fucking crazy. This is I 100% agree with that. I was watching them play earlier.
Yeah. I mean, this year, last year, Yale had a very balanced, methodical team. They had a really strong starting five. And, there was really no one that you had to particularly worry about taking over the game or taking over the scoring, but it's just a really well-disciplined group. This year, totally different. They have like a full-on big three of their team right now. Poulikitis is a stud. He killed Auburn last year. He was the best player in that game. So he, is averaging almost 20 a game this year. And yeah, between him, Nick Townsend back from last year, played in that game. And then their point guard, Bez Mbang, he has one of my favorite names in the country. He's a 3-time Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. He is the Ivy League Player of the Year this year. He is a stud. Like, that big three, like, those three would probably start or minimum get big minutes at, any Power 5 team in the country.
Yeah, they have legit high major talent.
They do. And all of them can shoot. Poulikitis is a tougher guard because he's a lefty. He had the 28 on Auburn last year. Poulikitis this year, he had 23 at Mackey when they played Purdue. They only lost by 8 at Purdue. They crushed Akron. They crushed Vermont. And normally I wouldn't flex Vermont, but Vermont has been a good team over the years. They've been a KenPom tournament team every year, despite being American East. And yeah, he, had 32 against Cornell earlier in the year, and then, followed up with 25 in the Ivy League championship game. But yeah, the guard play is really good for them. And Bez Mbang this year, he's averaging about 12, 7, and 7. He had a pretty weak game. They played Brown January 11th. He kind of struggled. And eventually they kind of told him to, start finding his shot. And since that Brown game, he's averaging 15, 6, and 5. He's shooting 39% for 3. They are super dangerous. They're a dangerous team. Front court's going to be an issue against A&M. This sucks because I do think I would pick them against any of these other four seeds. I think they would beat Arizona. I think they would beat Purdue. And, Maryland's iffy. But
You're telling me you did all that just to pick A&M?
I just want to. Well, you all jumped on A&M and nobody gave Yale their respect.
Yeah, I guess it's.
I did.
But still, I'm not fully convinced of one result or another. Like, I could totally see A&M just laying an egg and Wade Taylor shooting them out of the game.
Yeah, how'd that work last year, Russ? Not too well.
Yeah.
Not too
I'll
well.
be honest, Matt. After that, you got to pick Yale.
Yeah, you just made the whole case for Yale.
I am. I'm making the case.
Texas A&M.
I mean, Yale's a good team, but I mean, they don't.
I would not.
They don't have the dogs to keep up.
I think that if that, I'll certainly pick Yale to cover that game, and it's just tough because A&M's so fucking physical and good on the glass, and that's going to be.
But so is Yale. Yale is also a very physical team. They're not scared to play that style of game.
Of the Yale love I've given already, you can put me down for Yale.
I mean, we just bullied you into picking Yale.
I kind of did, yeah. Now I'm gonna have to. Have to do ugh. But yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for the San Diego Yale inevitable Sweet 16.
No, we're getting Michigan Yale, and it's going to be the Danny Wolf Bowl.
Oh.
All right. Well, I guess the next one's kind of tough to pick because we don't know who's going to be coming out of that first 4 games.
I'm picking Ole Miss against both. I don't care.
Yeah, give me Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is not going to get beat by either of those teams. Yeah. I don't care who it is.
San Diego State.
We all agree Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Matt, you sold me on San Diego State last week, and then now, after that fucking terrible game against Boise, I'm I'm out.
Well, I thought that the winner of that game for the Mountain West was going to win the Mountain West Championship, and of course I was like, oh, well, Boise State's going to do it now. Nope, wrong. So yeah, I don't know. I think San Diego State is they're the only team I think that Ole Miss and San Diego State would be a bloodbath, but yeah, I'm I'm off North Carolina. Both out of protest and just not doing it. No. Chris Beard over his dead body will let RJ Davis. Yeah.
So we all got Ole Miss there either way.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think San Diego State destroys North Carolina, and then Ole Miss destroys San Diego State.
And I think Ole Miss is going to be one of these SEC teams where like they took a beating in league play, and I think you're going to see that with a lot of these SEC teams where like we see like how good they were, where they took some losses in league play, and probably their seed line doesn't reflect how good a team they are. And I think Ole Miss is one of those teams, and I think they're really going to put it on whoever comes out of this one.
I do too.
So yeah, we'll the Iowa State Lipscomb. Lipscomb's good. Anybody going upset there?
I'm going I'm going to go Lipscomb over Iowa State.
Okay.
We got
Bro, they convinced me that ASUN championship. They are going to be a tough team to stop, especially if Iowa State has injuries. I think Lipscomb. They were one
Gilbert's
of the scarier.
done, so
yeah. Lipscomb is one of the scarier 14 seeds in this tournament. I think they might be the scariest 14 seed, but just
they're
their
underseeded.
offensive.
Personally, I believe they're underseeded. I think they're better than Akron, but here we are. Lipscomb. The reason that they are in a spot where they can do this is because they're just a 3-point shooting machine. That's it. So if they got hot, then they, in theory, could be a team that, if they make 15 threes in a game, and they only have to get to maybe 75 points to beat Iowa State, it's not inconceivable that they could do that. But yeah, because they're so 3-point heavy, they are in a position where I would not be surprised if they could beat Iowa State. They got 4 guys on the roster now who shoot over 35% from 3. Just alone, I don't know how many of you have seen, Joe Anderson, their point guard, is a stud.
He is
the Lipscomb people love him. They are obsessed with everything he does. And Jake Ognisevich was the player of the year in the ASUN. Both of those guys shoot over 40% from 3. Ognisevich averages 20 and 8, and he's got, I'm pretty sure he's got over 5 30-point games this year. He's got 8 double-doubles. This year, he's 4th in win shares nationally, 3rd in offensive win shares. Will Pruitt has been their 2nd leading scorer since February 1st. He's averaged 16 a game, shooting 42% from 3. Joe Anderson, despite I think they really like him because they've kind of hung with him the whole time. He started the season pretty rough, and that kind of killed his averages for the season. But if you look at his numbers in the ASUN tournament, in their 3 games, he averaged 25 a game, shot 60% from 3. He is on fire. And they're going to be a tough team to kill if they have a lead because they're 9th in free throw shooting. So they can kill a game off really well. They're really well disciplined. The only concern is if the threes are not falling for Lipscomb, they will lose badly. So it's definitely going on a limb, but the vibes do not seem particularly high with Iowa State. Without Gilbert, I don't know how far they can conceivably see themselves going. But most of the teams in their region until the Elite 8 cannot really score unless it's New Mexico, which I am now noticing is incorrectly.
Yeah, I don't know.
New Mexico State.
I saw that. I just saw that.
Yeah, I don't know what fucking idiot made this thing, but
yeah, so I'm just noticing that now. So they're not in a terrible spot, but if Lipscomb hits enough threes, they're gonna win. That's just if they are hitting a clip of them, they're that kind of team that can beat them.
I was gonna say Marquette would be very happy if that was accurate right there, and they were seeing New Mexico State instead of New Mexico.
Yeah, seriously.
Not indeed correct. Matt's gonna have me convinced a fucking double-digit seed's gonna win the national championship.
I am.
I mean, I give you credit, man. You came fucking guns blazing. You got the whole breakdown for everybody ready. Hats off, man.
Yes, sir.
I respect it. So you two are going Lipscomb.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Lipscomb.
Willie, Christian, either you going Lipscomb too, or
No, I'm not. I have Iowa State winning this one. Like I said,
Iowa State's Otts is a great coach. Like this is an experienced team. They're going to be ready for this. Like they're also like this is not a classic Otts Iowa State team that tries to drag everything into the mud. Like they have a legitimately good offense this year. So like maybe
Yeah,
that
this
next
is just
game
one of
against
those
Ole Miss,
games where like if Lipscomb hits all their threes, I will be like, why did I just not pick them? Like, how did I not see that coming?
Wait, so you aren't picking Lipscomb?
No. I'm still on
Oh,
Lipscomb
okay.
here. So let's not get it twisted. Come on,
Oh,
the
I was
son
about to say.
deserves some respect here. Yeah.
Yeah, I
William
don't think
Williams
this one matters for Keyshawn Gilbert or not. I like Iowa State in this one. I don't think that one makes I don't think his injury makes a big enough difference in this one.
Obviously, we all know TJ Otzelberger isn't very passionate, so I mean, we'll see if that hurts Iowa State here. But all right, this Marquette New Mexico game, man, it's gonna be a fun one. This is one I picked Marquette in my first bracket, but this is one I'm very much leaving subject to change. Like this game could go either way. The Donovan Dent Cam Jones matchup is going to be fun. This is going to be one of the best games of the first round right here. I don't think it really matters because I think Michigan State is going to handle whoever wins this one, but it will be a good game nevertheless. Yeah, I'm very much back and forth on this one. I'm personally taking Marquette to win this one, but I don't love how New Mexico State has kind of I said New Mexico State. I was fucking looking at the thing. Yeah, I don't like how New Mexico has come into this tournament. Like they're not playing as well as they were a month or so ago. I liked what I saw from Marquette against Xavier. Like obviously, I mean it's Xavier tournament team, but yeah, but that Cam Jones Dent matchup is going to be very fun. I'm leaning Marquette here, but it's going to be a high scoring game, and it could really go either way. How's everybody else? I feel like this is definitely one where we're going to be split.
I'm going New Mexico in this one. I think Marquette is going the opposite way of New Mexico as a team right now. I think they just finally get a win for the Mountain West. I know the Mountain West tournament didn't turn out the way they wanted, but I just think they're going to be able to read Marquette's defense and just kind of get what they want. It's going to be a close game. Don't get me wrong, but I think New Mexico's got the edge over Marquette in this one.
You got it, Christian. I'll be the decision maker if there's a split again.
So I have Marquette. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Cam Jones. Honestly, I think he's gonna cook, and I don't see New Mexico winning this one personally. But
yeah, Cam Jones is the bucket. I like Marquette. I like Marquette.
The player matchup is fun. Yeah, it's a fun matchup between Donovan Dent, best player that no one's ever heard of, you might think, and then of course, New Mexico's got that man, Nelly Jr. Joseph.
No, you need the Gus Johnson.
Yeah, obviously Gus Johnson and Nelly Jr. Joseph. Like glass like a window washer. Need him on the call for this one, but yeah, I think I can tell you, I think Michigan State would much rather see New Mexico. I think that is 100%. A much more favorable matchup for them. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say both teams are heading in the right direction there. I mean, Marquette has not been great. New Mexico is not the same team away from home. I know you could say that about a lot of teams, but
the
pit is a real thing. Yeah, it's a real type thing. They had a great regular season, and I just am not really sure if they got Arkansas. This would be one where I would be like, yes, absolutely. Like take them against Arkansas or some of these other teams on this line. But yeah, I would say Marquette probably wins a close one, barely. And yeah, if Marquette loses, Yeah, Shaka to UVA. Just watch out for it.
Oh, yeah.
Cam Jones just played one of his that's another reason I picked Marquette. He just played maybe his best game of the season against Xavier in the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
That's why I like that Marquette game against Xavier. I mean, I know Xavier's not great; they are a tournament team, but Marquette was really freaking good in that game. And Cam Jones, he kind of had a lull there. He was a National Player of the Year contender earlier in the year and hit a little bit of a lull, but he seems like he's getting back in his stride at the right time. So, yeah, I like Marquette here. So it seems like Jacobs, New Mexico, and the rest of us are Marquette. It seems like, but this is going to be a close one. So
I think it's close either way.
That last one, anybody going Bryant?
I think it's Michigan State across the board.
I'm afraid not. Yeah.
I don't think this one's going to be close. Personally, Michigan State, big.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go through the South. This is what I'll do. Obviously, we all have different matchups in the next round. So just give your 4 Sweet 16 and then your 2 Elite 8 and who you have coming out of this region. Like, I'll go first and we'll go whoever. Mm-hmm. But, like, I got Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, and Michigan State in the Sweet 16. Then I got Auburn taking down Michigan State over Ole Miss, and I'll go Auburn over Michigan State in the Elite 8.
Okay.
I guess I'll.
You got it.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I have Auburn beating Creighton. I have UC San Diego beating Texas A&M. I hope Ole Miss beating Lipscomb. I have Michigan State beating New Mexico. I have Michigan State beating Ole Miss and Auburn beating UC San Diego, and then Michigan State beating Auburn in the Elite 8.
So I actually have my Sweet 16 will be Auburn and Michigan, and I actually have Iowa State and Marquette, but Auburn beating Iowa State in my Elite 8. So I have the Tigers winning the South.
Good man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will take Auburn, San Diego, Ole Miss, Marquette.
Okay.
For Sweet 16, and then
so
put Auburn.
I got Auburn over Louisville, Texas A&M over Michigan, Ole Miss over Iowa State, Michigan State over Marquette, and then I have Michigan State over Ole Miss, Auburn over Texas A&M, and then Auburn over Michigan State to represent the South.
If that Auburn A&M matchup happens, I will just be fucking holding my breath.
I feel it's coming. I mean, we're not in a good spot with that anyway because, like, let's say Michigan beats, UC San Diego, and then Yale beats Texas A&M, and then Yale beats UC San Diego, or the winner of that one. But either way, the winner of that one has a chance. We have a chance to play them in the Sweet 16. Like, we're not in a good spot there. Like,
if we play Yale again, we might beat them by 100. Like, I can promise Bruce will not lose. I am hoping for nothing more than that we play Yale again in the Sweet 16.
I'm so battered from I'm so battered from last year, bro. My confidence, like, if we played them, would be like at a 0.
So we have 4 Auburns and a Michigan State. Seems like Christian had Iowa State in the Elite 8. Matt, you had Michigan State. William Luke, you had Michigan State. So we all have Auburn, Michigan State. Christian has Auburn, Iowa State, and then Jacob has Michigan State Final Four. And
I'm sure this will age. Sure, this will age well.
Yeah, or I got Auburn, Ole Miss for
Auburn, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Okay.
My thing is Auburn. They're kind of in a slump right now. If a month ago I had them locked for the championship. Like a month ago, I have them as a lock to the championship.
Play Bruce Pearl's press conference from yesterday. Oh no,
Bring it up.
Alabama, and Tennessee.
I think Michigan State. I'm a big Michigan State believer right now. Like, I just think it's gonna be a tough, gritty, physical matchup, kind of like Tennessee or Texas A&M. That's the style Michigan State likes to play. So
it's just the narrative that like Auburn somehow just like reeling coming into I hate it, dude. It's like we lost at Texas A&M, like a top 10, 15 team, and then in overtime by 2 against an Alabama team that's Final Four good, and then to a neutral court to a Tennessee team that's also Final Four good. Like, yeah, the narrative that Auburn's just like, it's over. They're playing like shit. Like I don't know. I've been hearing that shit for the last fucking 3 days. Like that shit's for the birds, man.
I think it'll be a close game either way. I just picked Michigan State to be different.
I hear you.
He's being a hater.
He's like, I'm not being a hater. I think I respect you all. You're in the Elite Eight. You're once you get down to that Elite Eight round area, it's just kind of like everything gets intense. Everything gets intense, especially if you go either way.
Are you a fan of Tom Izzo and Bruce Pearl? Or are
they're both great coaches. They're both great coaches, but I don't really like Tom Izzo. I like Bruce Pearl more as a coach. But
Izzo versus Pearl would be a fun game. Like that's two old school, like two coaches that have been around for a while, old school style. Like,
Izzo has taken worse teams to the Final Four than this one, so it wouldn't be like a total shock. Like if Michigan State beat Auburn, I would not like fall out of my chair, kind of thing. Like I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Yeah, I was giving Jacob a hard time. Michigan State's really good. Like if we lost to them, I wouldn't be like, "Wow, shocker."
Jace Richardson is scary, man. Like you don't realize it, bro. He's freaking.
I'm giving him a hard time too, but I also I'm just pushing back over like the general narrative that like Auburn's just like they're playing like it's like okay, like they lost at Texas A&M in overtime against Alabama on a buzzer beater and to a really good Tennessee team. Like I'm not.
It's not exactly the best form you want to be in going into NCAA tournament play. But I mean, it's been 14 years since team, I think, lost their last couple of regular season games and won the national championship. Kemba brought UConn there in 2011. So, it's been a while. So it's not the best sign per se. It's not what you want to see, but I don't think that should prohibit them from making a Final Four.
Did you see Bruce's press conference about like that exact topic yesterday, where he's just like, "Yeah, I'm panicked." Like, dude, hearing him talk like that gave me confidence.
Me too. Because I'll be honest, and I'm probably speaking for most Auburn fans when I say this, I don't love the fact that we're going into the tournament, losing 3 out of our last 4. It doesn't give me that warm and fuzzy feeling that I would like to see them like. But again, context is needed with the 3 teams we did lose to. It was at Texas A&M, like you said, a buzzer beater against Bama, and then we just lost to a really good Tennessee team. So,
well, anybody got anything else on the South before we move on? Did we hit every team? Hey, shout out to the Alabama State Hornets. Like we kind of glossed it. I don't think anybody's picking 16-1 there. Obviously, I just want to give a shout out to them, man. Right down the street, first tournament appearance since 2011. I'm very happy for them.
Shout out to Gump specifically.
I said shout out 2 Chainz. Alabama State legend.
Did 2 Chainz go there?
Yeah, he played basketball there.
I had no idea.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
What?
That's why I sent 2 Chainz last night.
Yeah.
Wow.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I'll send it again once the show's over.
Matt, were you just fuming at that game? Why the fuck is this in Atlanta? Like you were mad about that last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the SWAC. They got to find somewhere else to go there. Go to Allen High School in Texas or something. They got a big gym. You don't have to go to Atlanta.
At the airport where that was.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we pretty much did a pretty good breakdown. I think we talked about every team and what's going on there. So I want to pop up what we got next, Jacob. Midwest?
The East bracket.
All right. Okay. We got an injured man on the thumbnail there, obviously. But Duke, who the fuck's Duke? Oh, American Mount St. Mary's. That's a great DMV showdown right there in the first four. So yeah, okay. I don't think Duke's gonna have any issues there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think American beats Mount St. Mary's, and I think it'll be American Duke, and Duke rolls, of course.
Matt and William Luke. Is there any more poetic outcome here than Baylor getting an SEC team?
No. When I saw that
in the first round,
I stood up and applauded. Like,
I will be hammering Mississippi State.
Yeah. This is like the nightmare outcome for Juve.
I'll be there with my cowbell, fucking like. I got the full.
Oh yeah.
He's about to be Brandon Walker.
Yes, very much so. Juve used to support Mississippi State some back in the day. Yes, he has a Mississippi State basketball jersey on.
So this is the Juve Bowl then.
In many ways, yes.
This is a big deal.
Could be a Juve Bowl, yes. So yeah, watch yourself there.
I will be monitoring that one very closely.
Get ready to learn Josh Hubbard, buddy. Yeah.
If they lose, he's just going to be like, "Well, we played the one good SEC team."
Yeah, we played the one good team from the SEC. Now they're going to beat
our bracket yet?
No, I don't think he has. I haven't seen anything from him yet. I can tell you, out of this region, if it's not Baylor, it will be Bama. So
for sure.
Yeah, prepare yourself for that.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, so just stay on your guard.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm excited for it.
Oh God,
same. It'll be very fun. Yeah.
There we go.
I guess still not recovered from Clemson beating Baylor last year. So
yeah, he's still mad.
I'm actually going Baylor in the in their matchup. Shout out to Norchid Amir. He's from Nicaragua actually, so I'm going Baylor in that one.
Cool.
I guess I'm going to
my reason.
I'm going to go Mississippi State over Baylor. I don't think this Baylor team is particularly impressive. I think Mississippi State has more of an edge than Baylor does in physicality. Another thing, I don't know, Baylor's burned me before when picking brackets. I think they did it last year, maybe the year before too.
I'll be honest. With most of these teams where there's games where I'm like, I have to see it go either way, I'm probably going to pick the SEC team, to be honest. Just kind of my...
Yeah, this is it's a tough one here because Baylor definitely has way more talent than Mississippi State. They are better on paper, and they did go 8-10 in the SEC.
Am I lagging out?
Yeah.
Not saying Mississippi State has any big signature wins of their own, but yeah, man, that's tough. The right to get thrashed by Duke.
Yeah, that's a brutal spot to be in.
Yeah.
Congrats, you won probably a very close game. Here's Duke with a rested Cooper Flag.
Right. If Cooper Flag plays, because I mean,
I think he plays.
We'll see.
I think he plays.
I think he does.
I don't think he's going to play that American Mount St. Mary's game.
No,
it would be stupid if he did, unless he was 100%.
Yeah, like he's going to play the winner of Baylor Mississippi State. I'm like 99% sure of that one.
I'll probably take Baylor over Mississippi State. This is one of the few SEC teams that I do think that Baylor could go head-to-head with. Just because the best of Mississippi State is not necessarily like
elite.
It's not. There's not that high of a ceiling. So yeah, I'll take the Bears.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm going Mississippi State. Really ain't got much to say about it.
This Oregon Liberty one, that's going to be another trend. Basically, it's like every year. It's like every 5-12, it's going to be a trendy upset pick. I think Liberty's a good team. Like they defend well, and they're not going to give up a lot in transition. Which I mean, that's Oregon likes to force turnovers and score in transition, and like Liberty does do a good job getting back on defense, but I don't know. I think Oregon has enough to take care of business here. I wasn't super impressed by Liberty. They should have lost to Kennesaw State. So yeah, it's another one that's going to be trendy, but I will stick with the Ducks in this one. Not very huge on Oregon, but I think it's a good enough matchup for them that they'll take care of business here.
I've been big on Oregon all year. I can't change now. Like, I got to stick with them at this point. Give me Oregon over the Flames.
Yeah, give me Oregon as well. I wasn't too high on this upset. I don't think Liberty – they're a good team, like you said, but I don't think they're one of those – they had some absolutely great teams a few years ago. I don't think this team is as good as those teams. I just think they're kind of a all right 12 seed, not really special. So give me Oregon in that one.
Yeah, I've Oregon winning big as well in this one. I don't see them having much issues with the Flames. So Oregon all the way in this one.
Yeah, Oregon got extremely fortunate here, I think, with this draw. I think they're very fortunate they did not get San Diego, that they did not get Colorado State. This Liberty team is not the same as some of those where you just kind of, lock in like, oh, that team's going to win a tournament game. Kind of changed their identity some since then. Those teams don't really play the same way. I think, Liberty, again, could be dangerous just because they're really good 3-point shooting team because of how well they shoot. They do have pretty strong front court for themselves. I wouldn't be shocked. It's one of those, like, I wouldn't be totally surprised if Liberty were to beat them. But yeah, metric wise, there's nothing impressive about Oregon. It's just that they've won these games. So there's nothing impressive about what they do. It's just like, wow, you've beaten Bama, you've beaten A&M. Those are pretty good wins that not a lot of these teams have. So yeah, the conference record does not really make me think that they're that great of a team going into this. 12-8 in conference play is not very much to write home about. So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence here, but yeah, Oregon's got the more talented team, and I would say that it's if Liberty shoots well, and they're undefeated when they score 75. So as long as Oregon doesn't let them get to 75, they're going to win the game. So shouldn't be, with the athletes Oregon has, it shouldn't be that difficult per se. But yeah, I am somewhat concerned. This could be upset territory. Regardless, I like Arizona against either of the teams. But yeah, could be danger zone for the Ducks, but I think they should win.
Yeah, I was about to ask next. So Akron's another one, good team. They had a good year, and they're going to be another trendy upset pick. But I think this is an awful matchup for them. I think they are going to get run off the fucking floor here. As long as we don't get just a vintage Caleb Love dud performance, and even if you do get that, I still think Akron just will not have the athletes to keep up with Arizona in this one. I think this is one that could get ugly. I like Akron. They're a good team. They've had a good year. And if, had they gotten a better matchup, if they got A&M or somebody like that, I think that would have been a better matchup for them. But I think Arizona's an awful matchup for Akron.
Yeah, like you said, styles make all these games. Styles makes fights, right? And Arizona, they're just a much more physical and athletic team. This is just a bad matchup for Akron. I don't like it at all. When I saw this, I was like, ugh, don't like that for the Zips at all. Give me Arizona, and Arizona comfortably.
So actually, this is I picked other upsets. This is, I guess, the first upset that I picked that we'll talk about. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch a ton of Zips basketball this year, but it's kind of one of those random kind of vibe games that I'm just kind of have a feeling that they can win this one for some reason. They have won 8 straight coming into this one, including a conference title. But it's one of my one of the upsets that I'm going with in this one.
Arizona looked really good in the Big 12 tournament too. That was one of the best iterations of Arizona in that tournament we've seen this year. That's what I think. I just don't think this spot sets up well for Akron.
Give me Arizona here as well. I don't think Akron – they're a good team, don't get me wrong. They did struggle in the MAC championship yesterday. They come back at the end. I don't think I've been bit by picking Arizona before, but I'll go Arizona here. I think they get it done here. I don't think this is a great matchup, like you have said. So I just think Arizona takes care of business there.
No, it is not a good matchup for Akron. Basically, Arizona is just a better version of Akron. The late regular season struggles that Arizona was dealing with seem to have disappeared after the Big 12 tournament that they put together. So yeah, if they if this were Yale, this would be like, yeah, give me all of Yale here. But yeah, Akron probably doesn't have the horses to keep up with Arizona, especially if they're going to try to get it, play the same style. Yeah, Arizona's a better team. Yeah, not much really there. Wouldn't waste that much thought on it. Although Arizona has had some shocking tournament exits before, I think they still get through Akron here.
Hey, yeah, let's circle back to this on the 21st.
Yeah, for sure. You want to talk about? We talked about two teams in that one trying to play the same style. This next one is one of the best, just complete clash of style matchups of this whole tournament, and like
polar opposite.
Yeah, and this is an awesome matchup, and it's just going to come down to who can impose their style more in this. But BYU, VCU, you got one of the best defenses in the country in VCU, physical team, very slow tempo. They love to slow it down, and then a BYU team that loves to just get up and down the court and shoot it. Yeah, this is a game. This is hard to pick because it could genuinely go either way. It's going to come down to who can establish. Like if BYU is going up and down the floor and knocking down their shots, VCU is going to get run out of the gym. But if those shots aren't falling for BYU, and they're not getting offensive rebounds and everything, and VCU can play this more at their tempo, VCU is going to have a good game here, and VCU can defend. I need to even look at my bracket because I was back and forth on this one. I don't remember who I picked because this one could really go either way.
I'm going BYU in this one. I think VCU, they didn't really impress me. I was watching the A-10 championship. I mean, they play great defense, but I just think BYU's got more offensive firepower that I don't know VCU will be able to keep up with down the stretch. You also have to keep in mind that quadrant's games are being played in Denver. So I'd say there'll be a big contingent of BYU fans there.
Oh, the BYU people are going to show up.
It's going to be loud. Yeah.
That's a real fan. I picked BYU too. I had to go back and look, but yeah, that's a real fan base. Yeah, I like I said, it's a tough one to pick because it's just kind of you throw your hands up, like it's whatever team is gonna play their style of basketball is gonna win this one. Yeah, if it slows down, it's a low scoring game. Like it favors VCU. If BYU's knocking down their shots, they're gonna win this one pretty easily. It really could go either way. It's a tough one to evaluate.
Yeah, it's definitely one I was going back and forth with as well, like you said. But I ended up actually picking VCU. And I thought they looked pretty good today against a good George Mason team, who I originally had winning that conference. But yeah, I've seen VCU make some runs before, and I don't know. I feel like they have another good upset up their sleeve this year. So. Slight upset, but
I hope BYU doesn't burn me this year, like they did last year, losing to Duquesne. in the first round. I think I had BYU in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I agree. I went back and forth on this game between BYU and VCU, and honestly, the ultimate deciding factor for me was like, to be truthful, I didn't have enough upsets in my bracket. So I was like, I need some more. I know it's not all going to be chalk. So I just took VCU over BYU because, like, it's a toss-up, I feel like. So I'm just going with the higher-seeded team in this one.
Yeah, first of all, great coaching matchup. Ryan Odom and Kevin Young here. Ryan Odom obviously, led UMBC.
Virginia.
Yeah.
The next Virginia coach.
Yes, ironic as that might be, after basically, getting his start in coaching pretty much by beating Virginia with UMBC in the NCAA tournament. BYU is just they've seen VCU before, if that makes they've seen VCU in the form of Houston. They've seen VCU in the form of Texas Tech.
West Virginia.
Yeah, they've seen this before, so I don't think this type of style is going to be something that they haven't seen. And they've been one of the best teams in the country the last month here, going into the tournament. They've had one of the best offenses in the country between February 11th and Thursday. They were shooting 62% inside the arc, 42% from three. Richie Saunders and Big Igor. I don't think that VCU respectfully has seen this type of offensive kind of barrage that they're about to walk into. And the Denver thing's real. I think that getting up and down the court at the pace that they want to play, if VCU gets into that, is going to be pretty dangerous. So I am pretty high on BYU. I'm not really, not that I have negative thoughts on VCU. I think VCU is great. This is just not a matchup that I think is really productive for them. So I think they would have done better with Missouri, but yeah, they get BYU. Yeah, I think BYU.
All right, next one. I'm going big upset here. I'm taking Montana. Montana is a team, like, they're used to playing at elevation, like Jacob
I was about
mentioned.
to say
the
that.
Denver factor here.
That's why I mentioned this one. I didn't pick Montana over Wisconsin, but this is like the sleeper upset. Like, I could see the upset happening. Like, nobody's talking about it, and it just happens out of nowhere.
Montana's a great team out of the Big Sky. Like, they can score with anybody. Like, they can shoot it well. Like I said, they're used to playing at elevation. And just the travel schedule they haven't been playing their best basketball. They lost to Michigan today. Like, they got to the championship game but leading into the Big Ten tournament, they definitely were not playing their best basketball. And now they played 3 days in a row in the Big Ten tournament. Last game today. They're going back to Madison. Then they're going back to Madison after playing 3 days in a row. Then going out to Denver to play later this week, playing at elevation against a team, like a fast-paced team that's had a lot of rest that can keep up with them. And I think there's going to be a real fatigue factor for Wisconsin there against a team that can push the pace. I'm good. That's going to be my big upset of the tournament. Is I'm picking Montana here. I'm calling my shot on that one. 17.5. Hammer it, because I think the fatigue factor is going to be real for Wisconsin here. And so maybe they don't win outright, and Wisconsin's obviously a good enough team to Tanji could just come in and take this game over, and we're not even having this discussion. But I like Montana here. I think this is a good spot for them and a tricky matchup for the Badgers.
I picked Wisconsin this game. Montana is a good team, but I don't I think Wisconsin, I just think they have too much firepower for Montana to keep up. I know Montana had given Tennessee a game earlier in the year, but I could see elevation being a factor, but ultimately I think Wisconsin takes care of business. I know elevation, as a Purdue fan, that happened to us like 2015 when we lost to Little Rock. It was just with Chris Beard as head coach, they just had a very push the pace type style, and that it got to us. We were kind of a young team at that point.
Yeah, and when you're an up-tempo team playing at that elevation, and already a team that's going to be fatigued after their run in the Big Ten tournament, and then just all the travel going from Indy back to Madison, then out to Denver, I think it's a tricky spot for Wisconsin.
I had Wisconsin winning big. I think they're going to have too much offensive firepower, and I think they're just going to score too much for Montana to really keep up with. So I personally I don't see an upset happening in this one. So
I got Wisconsin in this one, but it's going to be one where the Badgers did a scare. It's going to be a close game, under the 5-minute mark right there. But I think what's going to be the difference maker here is that Wisconsin's they're the best team in the nation when it comes to free throws. So whenever this is going to be a close game, I feel like, and Montana's going to start fouling them, Wisconsin's going to be able to hit their free throws. And really, we're just going to separate this. But for it to be a 16-point spread or whatever you said, that's way too many points.
17 and a half.
Yeah, see, I would take Montana to cover that. Even if it was something like 10, 17 and a half feels like way too much.
Yeah, this is a really fun 3-14 game. This is I would take the over for sure. And I'm definitely more open to the idea of Montana after that just complete utter trash performance from Wisconsin today. Montana, first of all, Montana's one of the hotter teams in college basketball. They've won 14 to 15 now. Offensively, they are off the charts. In that time span, they're out of control, and especially their starting five. That starting five: Joe Prigden, Brandon Whitney, Malik Moore, Kai Johnson, Jayon Sawyer. Those guys are studs. They have registered 125.7 points per 100 possessions. To give you guys some context, Cavaliers are the number one offense in that regard in the NBA. They register currently 121.8 points per 100 possessions. So Montana offensively is on a different planet. Since January 20th, they are just shooting lights out. They're at 61% shooting and then 42% from three. So those are both number two nationally behind BYU. So if anyone has any doubts if Montana can keep up, Montana can certainly keep up with Wisconsin. It's Montana does not have the guys who can defend John Tanji as Michigan did today or all season. So I do agree. I do think that spread is not unfounded. I would there's obviously, I think that's going to come down. But yeah, I would hard pressed to say that Wisconsin needs this also. This is a game they have to have. This bracket actually sets up pretty nicely for them to get to an Elite Eight if they actually strapped up and defended some. So yeah, I would probably lean Wisconsin in a closer game. William Luke is right. Free throw shooting, they're actually on track to be one of the best free throw shooting teams ever. So for that reason, it's going to be tough to, chip away at a deficit if they have a lead. But yeah, it's hard to go against this Wisconsin team against this Montana right now. I know Montana's hot, and I know the fatigue factor will be big, but yeah, I would probably lean Wisconsin's direction. Take the over.
Yeah,
no doubt. So I'm the only one actually pulling the trigger on Montana here.
Yeah, it looks
I think we all agree it will be a tricky spot for Wisconsin. I guess Christian, he thinks Wisconsin wins big. So, but
yeah, but probably not by more than 17.5. So yeah, I would definitely hammer that under.
We got St. Mary's, Vanderbilt up next. I'm taking the Gales here. Yeah, I don't really know. That's not one I get too deep. St. Mary's is going to strap up and defend well on this one, and I don't know. I think Vanderbilt's one of those teams, like we mentioned with New Mexico earlier, that's kind of a merchant of their home court, and we've seen that in a lot in the SEC this year, and probably be the best defense they've gone up against all year in St. Mary's. So I really like St. Mary's in this one. I think they'll handle business here.
Yeah, give me St. Mary's as well. I'm a big believer in the Gales. I think they're kind of gone downhill. They had a good start in SEC play. They've kind of struggled over here the past few weeks. I just think Vanderbilt, they're not there as a program yet. They will be, but Mark Biotin's a good coach. I think St. Mary's just has too much experience to lose this game. I think they win over Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I agree. I've St. Mary's as well in this one.
Yeah, give me St. Mary's. Y'all kind of covered all the talking points. I agree. I like St. Mary's in this one.
Yeah, hate to take the chalk here with all of you, but yeah, I'm not very high on Vanderbilt. So I'll take St. Mary's without getting too deep. Yeah, Vanderbilt just does not really defend well. They have the worst defense in the SEC, which is saying something because LSU and South Carolina were in the SEC this year. So, yeah, I will take St. Mary's without wasting much time.
5-0. We all agree.
Alabama, Bob Morris. Anybody?
Hey, I've gone chalk this entire bracket. Give me Robert Morris over Alabama.
I love
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling.
That's how I am with That's how I'm with Akron. I kind of just had a feeling with them, but because I like the pick.
I think Robert Morris is slightly underseeded. The Horizon League's a good league. Usually a good basketball league. There's usually a team that comes out of there that gives team a game. I don't think Alabama, especially if Grant Nelson's out, I think they're going to struggle against. You saw what North Dakota did to them earlier this season. Robert Morris is a very similar team, much better team than North Dakota. So I think it's going to be a high scoring, down to the wire game. I think Robert Morris gets it done. That's my biggest upset in my bracket by far.
I love it. I don't know how the fuck it happens, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
A way to get that to Andy Toole myself if they win.
Yeah, I picked Bama in this one, but I am interested to see, the availability of Grant Nelson, see what he's doing, like if he's gonna be able to play or not. Because I think I saw a tweet saying he's meeting with a doctor either today or tomorrow to get an update on his knee, because that was the injury he had and why he had to leave the Florida game. But I think it's the biggest part of all this is Grant Nelson's availability. Like if he plays for Bama and he suits up, I think they win comfortably. But if he doesn't, then I think they'll be a little bit closer.
I think either way, honestly, I see kind of Bama winning pretty big in my opinion. I do like that you did pick Robert Morris, that it wasn't all Bama people, because sometimes those make for the best picks. Yeah, picking random teams to do it, but yeah, I see Alabama winning big in this one.
I'm not a big believer in this Alabama team. I mean, Mark Sears is great, but I don't think this team has as much physicality as the team did last year. I just think.
Well, I think that's going to come into play more in the next round. Like if they play St. Mary's, like we're all kind of projecting you. I mean, you're picking Robert Morris, but like if they end up playing St. Mary's, and if they don't have Grant Nelson in that game and they can't rebound against, because I mean we saw how bad Amore was against Tennessee. Like if they can't rebound in that spot against St. Mary's, like St. Mary's will have them in hell. in that game in the second round. Like, they have not played a defense like that, like, other than when they played Tennessee, and I mean that was a close one that they lost. But if they don't have Grant Nelson there to take care of business on the boards, that's going to be. I picked St. Mary's to beat Bama in that one, just like under the assumption that I'm from the way they're talking, I don't think Grant Nelson's going to be there. If the first thing Nate Oates said was it's not an ACL, what is concerning that was like the first thing he went with, but. Yeah, they're going to have a really hard time if they can't get those rebounds against St. Mary's, because St. Mary's is not going to let them just chuck up threes at will like they like to do against other teams. And I mean, we saw how, like, when Grant Nelson went out, how south it went for them against Florida yesterday.
I know against Purdue, we dominated the glass against Alabama, and we didn't have a real big man. With Daniel Jacobson was out. I think Will Berg played probably his best game of the season against Alabama, and he has barely played down the stretch. We just kind of dominated Cliff Amore.
If I'm an Alabama fan, which thank fucking God every day that I'm not, but if I was, like, I'm pulling hard for Vanderbilt to take care of St. Mary's there, because that is a bad matchup for Alabama in the next round if they end up getting there and seeing the Gales without Grant Nelson.
It's funny you mentioned that. I had St. Mary's going to the Sweet 16 anyway. You know, I didn't have Alabama going, even if I just picked the upset there because I was like, I'm not going to pick Alabama anyway, so might as well do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Morris pushed Bama in this game. Grant Nelson doesn't play. Robert Morris does have the Horizon Player of the Year on their team. This year, Robert Morris shoots a lot better than people give him credit for. So if it became a track meet, it would be manageable, perhaps. But yeah, this is not a good matchup for them. I would have much rather have seen them up against St. John's or Michigan State, but yeah, it's going to be tough for them to keep up with. I hope they win. Cheering for them, but yeah, it's a tough spot. You know, I don't think Jacob's crazy though. The Horizon has won. You know, they obviously won last year. They've won 2 of the last 3. Times they've been in the NCAA tournament. So it's a conference that's definitely slept on. So. Yeah, I just think Bama's probably going to be too much this version of them for Army of this one.
All right, well, we'll go through the East and do the same Sweet 16, Elite 8 like we did last time. I'll start off real quick. I got Duke, Arizona, BYU, and St. Mary's as my Sweet 16, and I got a Duke St. Mary's Elite 8 game with Duke going to the Final Four.
I guess I'll go next. I have Duke in Oregon, Oregon beating Arizona. I have Wisconsin beating BYU, St. Mary's beating Robert Morris. Then my Elite 8 is Duke beating St. Mary's to go to the Final Four.
Classic Big 12, Big 10 matchup there in the second round. Arizona and Oregon, by the way.
Bringing back the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got Duke, Arizona, Wisconsin, Alabama. Then I have Wisconsin over Alabama, Duke over Arizona, then Wisconsin over Duke to go to the Final Four.
Wow. We got a Badger Final Four pick in here.
I had to. I didn't want to be too chalky.
Yeah, speaking of not being too chalky, I actually have Akron in my Sweet 16 against Duke. But I have Wisconsin and Alabama in the other matchup, but I see it being Duke and Bama with Duke moving forward.
In this region, if I really wanted to be bold, I would have picked St. Mary's to the Final Four because I'm a big believer in them. But I see Duke just coming out of this bracket. I think their offense is too good.
Yeah, for sure. I got Duke, Arizona, BYU, Bama for Sweet 16. And then, I mean, I'm still really back and forth on what I want between Bama and BYU. I think that'll be a really, really good game. I would probably lean Bama. I still do not know. Like we talk about Gray Nelson, I need to see Cooper Flagg like back in before I definitively can pick them. This version of Bama's definitely Final Four caliber good, but yeah, probably gun to my head, I would take Duke to go Final Four.
So William Luke has Wisconsin, and 4 of us have Duke.
I had to be different. I had to be the outlier.
Yeah.
If it's anyone besides Duke or Bama, I would be shocked. Like, just totally shocked.
Yeah, but if it, in my opinion, if it wasn't Duke or Bama, I probably would lean Wisconsin as the other team. But.
All right. Well, anything else on the East before we move on? Take it down here. Any other notes on any of those teams we haven't talked about or anything?
No,
I'm good.
I think I'm good.
I think Duke definitely got the best draw of any of the 1 seeds.
Mm-hmm.
They got the weakest of the 4-5 combination. So,
yeah,
and I think that second round game for Duke too. Also against, he already put the Midwest up. Probably against Gonzaga though. Like Gonzaga's in this one.
It was Mississippi State and Baylor.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But yeah, Duke's not going to have any. What are we looking at?
Letting UNC in the field, giving Duke an easy draw, I guess, for old Bubba.
All right, this next one. I'm just right off the top. I said it in the group chat and tweeted it earlier, but SIU Edwardsville is going to struggle to score 30 points against Houston.
Yeah,
they are a horrendous offensive team, and that is a disgusting matchup. That has a chance to be one of the most shocking, embarrassing results whatever Houston minus 30 or whatever the fuck they are, like take Houston in this one.
28.5.
I got Houston.
That's gonna be, oh my god. I mean, shout out to SIU Edwardsville, like first tournament in program history, but I mean, my god, that is gonna be a bloodbath.
You think the spread's bad? The over-under is 127.5.
Yeah, I think Houston's going to score 100 of that themselves.
Yeah. Lord.
Yeah, I agree. Houston
that is
bloodbath.
SIU Edwardsville is just like they cannot score. Like they are a slow-paced team. They can't score, and brutal. That's brutal. But hey, you're in the dance. That's all that matters, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Now you get to play Houston.
Yep. Congrats. You get to play Houston.
Gonzaga, Georgia. I'm taking Gonzaga in that one. Mark Few. I mean, that just comes down to the coaching matchup. I trust Mark Few in this spot a hell of a lot more than I trust Mike White. Georgia's probably just happy to be there at this point. I think Gonzaga's going to take care of business pretty easily there. Anybody going with the Dogs in that one?
I've got Gonzaga.
I have Gonzaga as well.
Gonzaga.
I think either team though gets blown up by Houston, but I am picking Gonzaga. So
Gonzaga.
Matt, I assume you're on the Zags there.
Asa Newell's got a foot out the door, ready to go to the NBA, and Mike White doesn't seem too far behind. So,
yeah, not a very interesting 8-9 game there. I don't think anybody's expecting much semantics in that one.
What I gotta say, what a horrible 8 seed for Houston to draw.
Horrible.
We'll get into that.
Matt, are you talking through headphones or something? Because your sound's coming through pretty. Yeah, you sound like you're talking through a can or something.
Through water.
Under a boat.
It almost sounds like it for a second, though.
Yeah,
like if you say like a full phrase it's at the beginning. So.
Oh, now we got reverb.
Now we got.
Oh no!
What's going on here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah.
You got the reverb, and then someone clicked in their pen. What is happening right now?
Come forward. Which one of you was clicking that pen?
It's 100% Jacob.
Yeah.
I have no pen on my desk. And
Who is it? Who's doing that, man?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's Christian. Jesus.
That was a hell of a fucking, like, Matt sounds like he's fucking trapped underwater, like, Christian's jamming a pen. We're all echoing. Like,
somebody flip that, please. We need that.
That was a productive fucking 2 minutes there.
Yeah, good Lord. Moving on.
As we were writing the dog's funeral. I guess this is the dogs and the dogs taking on each other, but obviously everybody's going to pick McNeese. I don't think Clemson's going to have any problems here.
Me either.
Clemson's an experienced team. They just made the tournament run last year. They're going to be ready. I think it's a bad matchup for McNeese. Will Wade, you can talk about guys with foot out the door. Will Wade has his fucking bags packed. He's going to be on the first jet to Raleigh as soon as this game goes final. But a lot of people are still going to pick McNeese, I'm sure. But yeah, I think Clemson's going to roll here.
Clemson, easy.
Clemson, I'm a big believer in this Clemson team. I think they're a potential deep tournament run team again. I don't think McNeese, they're a 12 seed. I think Will Wade's McNeese teams are kind of overhyped. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good teams, great teams for the Southland, but I don't think they are like tournament sleepers, tournament underdog types that can do much. They're not like the Stephen F. Austin teams, Brad Underwood, Stephen F. Austin teams. I think they're good teams, but I just think Clemson's a lot better, a lot more ready for the tournament.
So this actually was one of my other upsets that I did pick. I think they have the best equipment manager, hype man out there. I don't know.
Let's go.
They do. Yeah,
that guy's a stud.
That guy's fun.
I think he's bringing the aura over to McNeese. So I'm actually picking them to win this one, to win against Clemson.
Okay.
I would not be shocked.
Some upsets.
Yeah, would not be shocked if Clemson were to get tripped up by McNeese.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like Will Wade has, kind of last year was a pretty bad matchup for them. This McNeese team is much better than the team that Gonzaga just buzzsawed last year. They're much more balanced. They're much better defensively. Now they're playing really well. They've won 11 straight. They won 22-23. And some of their games this year, I do think deserve some attention. They held Bama to 72 points at Bama. They lost by 3 to Mississippi State. They held them to 66 points. They beat a really good North Texas team that doesn't get enough credit. McNeese has only given up 80 points twice this year. One of them was in their first game against South Dakota State. The other one was against Southeast Louisiana when they hit 13 threes. So they, are not accustomed to giving up, a lot of points in these games. They force a ton of turnovers. That's kind of the Will Wade routine. They bring back 3 guys from last year. They got Christian Shoemate was arguably the best player on last year's team with Javon Garcia. And they did pretty well in the portal. Sincere Parker, they got him from St. Louis. He defends really well for them. Kadir Copeland was former really high recruited Syracuse. Didn't work out there, but plays well for Will Wade. Joe Charles, Raging Cajun recruit. He's the best shooter on their team. And then Brandon Murray was recruited by Will Wade at LSU, played for Will Wade at LSU in his last year there. He was SEC All-Freshman in 2022. problem with McNeese is they are small. They have no big. Last year, Graham Ike put up 16 and 10 against them in 23 minutes. Anton Watson nearly had a triple double, 13 and 9. It was rough. I mean, Gonzaga was a pretty bad matchup for them.
I mean, Lock-in is absolutely going to feast.
Yes, and that's kind of the issue. And unfortunately for McNeese, this is, pretty bad hand they've drawn here. It's just a really tough experience, Clemson team. They're probably not going to make a ton of mistakes. And McNeese is, those are the teams that they really try to pick apart. Like if McNeese played Michigan, that would probably be a game that McNeese would do really well in because they would turn Michigan over quite a bit. But unfortunately for this one, I really want to see McNeese get a good draw. But yeah, it seems Clemson turned my head last year. I was not prepared for them to go deep into the tournament. But they brought back enough from last year that they should beat McNeese. It would be pretty big surprise if they didn't. I believe that spreads like 8 or 7.5. So yeah, that's I would not be surprised if McNeese covered that, but overall, this Clemson's just got way too much experience to get beat by this type of McNeese team. So
yeah, I'm with you, Matt. Like when I was looking at my initial like the tournament initially, like the bracket, I was looking, all right, what are some spots for a potential upset? I did have this one viewed as like, all right, McNeese could hang around here and, make things interesting if the ball goes their way. But like you said, Clemson just has too much experience. Like if this was a different 5 seed they were playing, like, Memphis without Tyrese Hunter or maybe Michigan or something like that, McNeese could be a team I'd like to, back in that game, but not in this one. This is just a bad draw for them. Clemson has too much experience, they're not going to make many mistakes, like you said. I like Clemson in this one.
Rob Doster's on here right now talking about why Yale's going to beat Texas A&M, so that's a good sign. Yeah, it's going to be tough for McNeese in this one. But so Christian, you're going with McNeese, and everybody else is on Clemson.
I think I'm the lone McNeese guy.
Is Matt alive?
He's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
He froze.
Yeah, I got see a black screen from him.
Oh,
no,
he left.
He has dropped.
He's under the boat.
Yeah. Well, we'll press on. I'm sure he will be back.
Yeah, probably
this region
should let our boy
be...
Jacob lead off of this next one.
Yeah, I was about to say you're on the hot seat, Jacob.
This is okay. This is a. I'm just gonna riff till Matt gets back, but this is an interesting region for me at work because the one guy at work is a Clemson grad. That he's one of our engineers at work, like our quality engineer or whatever. But he's a Clemson grad. He was asking me how I was feeling about Purdue, and it's ironic that we're in the same that same sub-region.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can worry about Clemson because High Point's it's not a joke. So I need to get the pulse of
okay.
I do think this is a good. I think this is I thought High Point was a good team to pull an upset coming in. I don't love this matchup for High Point personally, but how are you feeling? We need the pulse.
This is not who I wanted to play as a 4 seed. I did not want to play High Point. I would have rather played Akron or Yale. 100%.
You'd rather play Yale than High Point?
Yes, 100%.
I do not agree with that. If I was you, but
I don't know, Jacob.
I mean, we already played Yale this year and we beat them pretty easily. They gave us a little scare at the end, but they just we just took our foot off the gas. But this High Point team is deep. This might be the deepest mid-major team in the tournament.
Need to mention the all-name team for the tournament real quick. We got Jocelyn Bodo.
Bodo. Sounds like Moto from Madagascar.
That's funny.
I like that.
But this High Point team, I've seen them in person. They played ETSU in preseason scrimmage. They looked insane. Like, they are athletic. They can shoot the three. They are deep. They are going to give Purdue 40 minutes of a game. And as a Purdue fan, I cannot. Well, I mean, they'll give us. It won't be a blowout, is what I'm saying. It's going to be close the entire way. As a Purdue fan, I cannot consciously pick Purdue with how we're playing, so I'm going to go a High Point in the upset.
Wow,
dang, it'd be your own.
I'm taking Purdue here. I don't think it's a great matchup for High Point. I think Purdue defends well enough, and they'll have it. Like, Purdue can shoot it, and if the shots are falling in this game and then they're defending well, like, they're going to be fine. I don't think it's a particularly great matchup for High Point, but so I'm going to stick with Purdue here. But
I've just watched too much Purdue basketball. I know. I just don't like the way we're playing. Like, our body language. If TKR is not on, it's going to turn into an ugly game for us.
So you're predicting an L.
Yeah.
Tough. It'd be your own.
Yeah, really. I'm predicting a Purdue W in this one, but I haven't watched enough I know High Point is good this year. I haven't watched enough of them, I guess, to make that call. But yeah, I'm going Purdue in this one.
Plus, they're playing in the 12:40 game on Thursday.
Dangerous. Yeah. I will probably go with High Point as well. I do think this is one of the few teams that actually, like, as a double-digit seed, matches up pretty well with Purdue. They are gonna Kamani Hamilton is gonna guard TKR, and that's probably gonna be his sole assignment. And then Bodo is gonna just rebounding ball. Purdue does not have anyone who can compete on the glass with him. So I do think that, like, what Purdue wants to do will play right into High Point's hands. The question becomes, like, you know, if it is one of those Braden Smith games where he is just unconscious, and, you know, because when he's that version, the, like, making shots version of Braden Smith, that's a totally different equation, you know, for that team. And, you know, if the other shooters are on as well, like, you know, balance Braden Smith when there's a ton of assists involved as well. So yeah, this just is asked. The time slot, everything is setting up, I feel like, for High Point. They didn't get in last year. They had the rough loss against Longwood last year, and yeah, this sets up for Purdue pretty well, or High Point, I would rather, pretty well. So yeah, I'll go with High Point as well.
When I saw who we were playing, I kind of just shook my head. I was like, well, I'm gonna have to be the harbinger of bad news to other Purdue fans, even if they don't like it. So, I mean, I want us to win, but I just don't. I can't see us with the way we're playing. Playing a great deep team like High Point.
I just think Purdue will defend well enough in this game where, like, I think, like Matt said, as long as Braden Smith's good in this game and doesn't throw up an absolute dud, like, I think Purdue can defend well enough in this game where they.
I mean, the thing about that, though, still is, like, Braden Smith has had some huge games that Purdue still has not won. They're gonna. It's just gonna have to be more than the 2-man game of TKR and Braden Smith.
Miles Colvin and Cam Heide are going to have to show up. There's no ifs or buts about it. Like, him and Lawyer, they all need to show up. There's no room for being dog shit, you know? There's no room for it. Matt Painter needs to go full Bobby Knight on the bench. I'm not joking. After that performance against Michigan and USC is just pitiful.
Well, Luke, you're the tie-breaking vote again.
Yeah, I was listening to that. It seems like it always is me, which I'm okay with. I like that. I'm gonna go Purdue. Matt and Jacob both kind of made good points, the 1240 game and all the other stuff, but I'm just gonna stick with my gut and go Purdue. So yeah, I'm sticking with Purdue. I'm gonna side with Travis and Christian on this one. I'm gonna go Purdue.
All right. Well, any other High Point's a good team though. Like I'm sticking with Purdue, but I think I don't know. Like I think if you are High Point, I don't think this is a matchup you were particularly cheering for.
All their students were cheering.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Matt and Jacob feel different, but I think Purdue.
Well, I mean, if you're High Point, this is the 4 seed you want. Like, you're getting crushed by Maryland, you're getting crushed by A&M, probably not beating Arizona. This is the matchup. Like it, I would say this.
Well, I think Arizona would have been the one because Arizona, you can just get into a track meet with them, and like if it just depends on what Caleb Love shows up. Like if I was High Point, that would be the matchup I wanted to see. It'd be Arizona personally. Like I think Purdue can defend well enough to hang around in this one and pull it out. If I was a High Point fan, I would have rather seen the Arizona matchup.
Fair.
So yeah. Any last words, Jacob, before we move
I do have one funny thing if things go positive for Purdue. It's kind of related. Tennessee is in the same region as us for like the 7th time in the last 5 years, it seems like. If somehow that was like the Elite 8 matchup, that would be insane.
I mean, this is basically the Jacob region.
Yeah.
It's an all-time quote right there. The 7th time in 5 seasons.
Yeah, I was hoping someone else picked up on that.
This is a great region for Jacob because we got Purdue, and then we just got Illinois, Tennessee, Wofford. We got just all his fucking arch nemesis, and this we just needed UConn in here too, and this would be just the full on Jacob fucking rage fest in this region.
The 7 out of 5.
All right, next game, Illinois versus I get another one. Won't be able to break down much because we don't know who's coming out of that first 4 game. I think it'll be Texas coming out of that first 4 game, and then Illinois is just you don't know what Illinois team's going to show up. Illinois could go out and beat whoever wins that game by 30, or they could show up and you see the team that lost to Maryland. There's no in between with them. I have no idea how to gauge Illinois coming into this tournament. I'm saying I think Texas is going to win that game against Xavier, and then I could see Texas. I think I picked whoever comes out of this one to beat Illinois, but they're saying the flu thing. That's kind of, they're using that as the excuse for Illinois struggles now, and then they're playing better since everybody's been healthy. But I don't know what Illinois is one of the most bipolar, confusing teams to pick coming into this tournament. I don't know what to believe with them, but they're just all over the place. Either they score 100 or they lose to USC by at home in January. I think they're going to win over Texas or Xavier, whoever comes out of that. I just think they have too much offensive firepower for either of those teams. So give me Illinois there. But just a wild team. Such inconsistency. And I think that a lot of that has to do with Brad Underwood's coaching style.
Yeah, I've Texas winning in the first game, but I think Illinois is going to beat Texas in that second matchup. So.
Yeah, big on Illinois in this one. I have no idea what I'm getting from Xavier. They have some shocking losses. Texas, I was all in on Trey Johnson, and now after that Oklahoma game, I'm not sure what to expect. But Illinois is better than both. They should beat either of those teams. And then if they do, they are pretty well positioned to get to a Sweet 16. They match up pretty well with both Kentucky and Troy.
I already know Matt's just like, I mean, it's just for his Cal love. He just has to hate Kentucky like more than anybody now. It's like, should have kept Cal. Y'all thought it was Cal's fault, huh?
Me and Seth Greenberg will be at your service. So for this, yeah.
The law firm of Greenberg, and Greenberg.
Yeah.
Will Luke, I guess you're the last one for this one.
Yeah,
it's not really a game to pick because you don't know who's coming out of that first one. So
yeah, I mean, obviously we gotta see who comes out of the Texas Xavier game first, but regardless, I think Illinois is gonna beat whoever comes out of that, and y'all really covered it pretty much. So I'm gonna say Illinois wins that.
I'm picking whoever comes out of Texas Xavier. I'm kind of leaning Texas there, but Xavier has experienced guards, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what fucking Illinois is going to show up, and they've been so inconsistent this year that it feels easy to bet on the really bad version showing up at this point. I mean, they have the talent, no doubt, but I don't know. Illinois is quite the confusing team. Kentucky and Troy here. I'm going to stick with Kentucky. I already know Matt's going to pick Troy and probably have a lot to say here, so I'll save some time and let him say why Kentucky's a disaster and they should have kept Cal, and Cal is vindicated by Kentucky losing to Troy. I know he's going to have a field day with that, so I mean, I'm just going to let you. I'm going with Kentucky here. I like what I've seen from Kentucky lately. They've been defending a lot better. They had a tough game against Alabama. I mean, it's going to come down to health for Kentucky going into this game, and we don't really know what's going on with what's their fucking best player? Why is his name blanking me?
Lamont Butler.
Yeah, Lamont Butler. Like, we don't know what's going on with his health. We saw him get injured in the SEC tournament, so we don't know if he's going to be healthy for this game or not, and that'll be a big deterrent. So it's kind of hard to pick this game right now, not knowing exactly what's going on with Lamont Butler, but I'll stick with Kentucky here.
Give me Kentucky over Troy as well. I don't think this Troy team, I mean, they're well coached, but I don't think they have the dogs to keep up with Kentucky. They're at least the pace of Kentucky, regardless if it's a shootout or not.
Yeah, I'm picking Kentucky as well. I know it's their first year without Cal, but I see them winning a couple games in the tournament. So
maybe in so close to Troy, like 20 miles away, I almost felt like I had to pick Troy, but I'm not going to. Like, all of me wanted to pick Troy so bad, but I just don't see a path here for them. So I'm just going to stick with Kentucky. I'm going to go chalk.
Troy got fucking nailed by a tornado last night.
Bad, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't see that.
Yeah, well wishes to everybody there.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
sure.
like the exact reports and everything yet, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
Definitely well wishes to all them. That's crazy.
All right, Matt, pick Troy. Kentucky, fucking shit on Mark Pope. It's time for.
So I'm not here to shit on Mark Pope. I apparently I don't know if you guys know this. Mark Pope was on the '96 national championship team. Apparently, I haven't heard that one before. But yeah, they yeah. Look, I don't know what to expect from Kentucky because I don't know who's going to play. If it's the OA and like Kobe Bryant show, then is that something that's supposed to excite me? I don't really know. I do think that Troy is a pretty rough matchup for Kentucky because, Kentucky's not a very physical team. They're not particularly healthy. Troy has all of that right now. They've only lost one game since February 8th. They got crushed, but, haven't lost since. And they won their conference tournament games by an average of 16 points here. They will have the best player in that game. Tatum Connerway is going to be the best player on the floor for Troy. I would be hard pressed to find a worse 14 match. I do think it would be very fitting for Troy to beat them after everything that went into getting rid of Cal, which that can be litigated, another time. But that's a I would say overall, I don't know if Troy offensively is good enough to keep up with Kentucky if it goes to a back and forth type of game. So for that, I would probably lean in Kentucky's direction, but it's happened before. I mean, Bill Self, his first, as a 3 seed, first tournament with Kansas, got bounced by Bucknell. I'm talking myself into Troy. I think I might actually be picking Troy here. That's the problem. Yeah, I'll just take Troy. I'll go.
Very good.
I'll go full heel here and just take Troy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that was coming. Yeah. I mean, I just know you've had this because you just hate Cal being scapegoated for their tournament losses and stuff, and I know you've just been this is the moment you've been waiting for all year is for Kentucky to have another one of these losses.
I do not think the rhetoric around Cal was fair, especially when they hired him and what they were before him and now what they are now and what the expectations are because of him. So we'll see if they give Mark Pope same kind of leeway. I think they will because he's one of their own, but yeah, we'll see.
All right. UCLA, Utah State. This is an interesting one, but Utah State is another team out of the Mountain West. I'm kind of uninspired by how they've been playing lately. I was very high on them at points, but I don't know. I think UCLA is too big, too physical here for Utah State. So I'm gonna go with UCLA in this one. I'm sure a lot of people will be taking Utah State here for upset purposes, and a lot of people don't like Mick Cronin and things like that. But yeah, I think UCLA is just too big, too physical. I think they match up well with Utah State. I don't think this is a good spot for Utah State. So yeah, I will be going with UCLA in this one.
Yeah,
I like the Bruins in this one because they're top 10 in turnover rate. They're number 1 in non-steal turnover forcing, and they're going to force a lot of issues for Utah State. So I like UCLA in this one.
Give me Utah State over UCLA. This UCLA team doesn't inspire much confidence in me. I just don't think they're as good as some of the previous Mick Cronin UCLA teams. They don't really have a true scoring number 1 option. They're just kind of a balanced team. I think Utah State has more firepower than they do. So give me Utah State here over UCLA.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people picking Utah State, but honestly, I'm going UCLA in this one. But it's one of those I feel like either, no matter who wins this one, kind of looking ahead a little bit, I think whoever wins this one is honestly going to get blown out by Tennessee in the next round. But yeah, I am going to go UCLA in the 7-8 matchup, or sorry, 7-10 matchup.
Wait a minute. Did you say this is a 7-10 matchup?
Yeah.
How is that possible? UCLA is incredible. They're North Carolina's only quad 1 win. I would have thought they were way higher seeded here. For some reason, they get a 7. I don't know how that's possible. That doesn't make any sense.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah. No, I'm big on UCLA here. Not much really to add there. Ever since Cronin called his boys soft, it's been smooth sailing for them ever since, pretty much. So, yeah, I'll take UCLA over Utah State. Not a great matchup for Utah State.
Anybody going Wofford?
I don't think so.
No. I think Tennessee's going to beat them by 100.
Who are you rooting for?
I guess Tennessee in this one. I hate both of them, but I'll just go for Tennessee because Wofford fans piss me off so much. Yeah, their team pisses me off too.
I'm not a big Tennessee guy, even though I have some family that are some Falls.
Yeah.
My parents went to Memphis, so I've always disliked Tennessee a bit.
Me
personally.
too. Tennessee, their fans are so arrogant. They always think they're
definitely.
going to win the national championship in every
Definitely.
sport.
Yeah.
Well, they did in baseball.
In
so.
baseball, which I could care less.
Purdue's not good, so I don't give a shit.
Jello shot game was weak there from them.
Purdue is Tennessee's father.
Yeah, that Tennessee UCLA game in the next round, that'll be quite the scrap. But I mean, I think UCLA is just going to try to out Tennessee, and that's not going to go well for them. But it'll be a interesting game nevertheless. But all right, let's get some Sweet 16, some Elite Eights, and who's going to the Final Four out of here. I'll say I got Houston, Clemson, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and I got Houston and Tennessee in the Elite Eight, and I'm going with Tennessee to pull the upset over Houston. I got the Vols here. I mean, Tennessee is not going to be scared to play. Like, Houston's just been bullying teams through the Big 12 all year, and I mean, they're physical as shit. They're gonna get into a scrap with everybody. They got absolute fucking junkyard dogs there, but so does Tennessee, and Tennessee's not gonna back down from them at all. Like, Tennessee's gonna be ready to play that style of game with them, and I think it's just gonna come down to who you get the better guard play from, and Tennessee's got a really experienced team. They've gone through a gauntlet in the SEC, so I mean that's going to be a fucking knockdown, drag out game, and I think Tennessee's good enough to win in that style after they've done it in a gauntlet of an SEC all year, and I think Tennessee's guards can. And I also think Tennessee's better in the front court than Houston, and that's going to be an advantage for them here. So, I don't know. I really like that matchup for Tennessee. If there's one team that's not going to be scared of Houston in the entire country in their style, it's Tennessee. So I'm going with the Vols to go to their first Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, Trav, me and you agree on every game. I got Houston, Clemson, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then I have Tennessee over Houston to go to the Final Four. So me and you agree pretty much, all the way through in that region.
I guess I'll go next. I have Houston and Clemson, and then I have Illinois over Kentucky, and I have an upset, Utah State over Tennessee. I just think Tennessee, their garbage ball catches up with them, and they drop a game. I don't think this is their team to go to the Final Four once again. And then I have Houston beating Illinois to go to the Final Four, of course. Or Illinois beats Utah State, and Houston beats Illinois to go to the Final Four.
I got Tennessee, Illinois, Clemson, Gonzaga for Sweet 16.
The fuck? Okay, how does Gonzaga beat Houston? Because I just don't see the roadmap.
Okay, so listen, I have a huge bias, so I just want to throw that out there before I try and pitch this to people. But Gonzaga right now, this version of them right now, this is a criminal underseeding. They should not be on the 8 line. Beating St. Mary's that game should have been enough for them to get out from under that. But unfortunately, they did not. The path basically would be they don't turn the ball over. They are never usually outdone in the point guard battle because Ryan Emhart's so good. They can all pass. They got 8 guys deep who can all score. They're extremely deep in the front court. They have 3 guys who can all hold their own. And just they have scores everywhere. Graham EK, averages 17 and 7. The only common opponent that they kind of share in this instance would be where they both played San Diego State. Graham EK dominated San Diego State. Had, big game that day. He had 20 and 10 against Kentucky. I feel strongly that they are playing their best basketball right now. They're, again, Ryan Emhart averages 10 assists a game. Khalif Battle I know it's his fourth school in 6 years, but he is a walking bucket for them. He's the number one free throw shooter in the country. He has been a weapon since they had their loss against St. Mary's. He's averaging 17 and a half a game, 40% from three. Nolan Hickman started 4 years. This is his most efficient college season. And since they had that loss, they had a terrible loss at Santa Clara where they just got run off the floor, really. And that was kind of an existential moment for them. They kind of slowed it down a bit and just prioritized getting better shots. And since then, they've just been on a roll. They've, been scoring 84 a game. They've been giving up 65 a game. It's a good formula for them. In that championship game against St. Mary's, they beat St. Mary's playing at their pace. Gonzaga decided to try to force more turnovers on them and really slow the game down, and they did. And that's not the style that Gonzaga was playing at the start of the season. So they're much more comfortable playing at a slower type of pace. So if they are dragged in to a really knockdown, drag-out game with Houston, I can't guarantee they'll win, but I can certainly guarantee they will cover any spread and that they are going to be the toughest guard. They're going to be the toughest offense Houston has had to defend since they played that Auburn team. So I would say that is their path. That's their path to beating Houston. No one knows what's going on with Juwan Roberts. Juwan Roberts, they need him to, get anywhere they want to go. So that's where my biased Gonzaga take would come in. That being said, I do agree that I think Tennessee should go to Final Four out of this region. So I would have, Gonzaga playing Tennessee for Final Four and would hand that to, say, Tennessee goes ahead there.
All right, so we got 3 Vols and a Houston Christian.
Yes, sir. So my Sweet 16 is going to look a little interesting, actually. I have Houston playing McNeese State. I have McNeese beating Purdue, actually, in the second round. And then in the other matchup, I have Kentucky playing Tennessee, and I have the Vols winning in this one. I do have Houston making the Final Four and winning this region. I am pretty confident on the Cougars, honestly. It's one of my more confident Final Four picks, but yeah.
Christian's just going full Jay Williams on us. He's got all 3 1 seeds. So
yeah. And I've been trying to throw some.
Did you guys see that where they popped up Jay Williams' bracket and it was just all 1-2?
They were like, he's really going out on a limb here.
I know my methodology for picking brackets. I kind of do upset heavy first and second round and more chalk towards the end of the tournament.
That's usually the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Jacob is the reigning fucking last place in our bracket pool last year. So we'll see. But all right, anything else Midwest?
No, but I'm definitely excited to talk about the west side a little bit.
Oh, the West
got some
loaded.
Cool stuff going on over there.
This is the most fun bracket,
for sure. Yeah, me too as well.
Oh man. Okay. Right off the top.
I'm loving it.
This pod with Bill Self, John Calipari, and Rick Pitino,
incredible,
all in there is insane.
Electric.
And if we get that Rick Pitino, and for anybody who doesn't know, who's listening, or you guys, those two cannot fucking stand each other. There is no love lost between those two. They are
that
not
picture of
fans
him smiling when he saw the matchups get released of Pitino smiling in the locker room.
Yeah, those two are if there's 2 coaches in the nation that coaches are usually pretty friendly, buddy with each other. And
not them.
These 2 openly do not fucking like each other.
Yeah.
So if we get a Rick Pitino Cal NCAA tournament game in 2025, that'd be awesome. Cinema. Right
Absolute
there.
cinema. Yes. Need it. That's what I'm rooting for, honestly.
Yeah. Arkansas is going to have their hands full with Kansas, so I don't know. Well, we'll get to that game as we go through the bracket, but I mean, first of all, Florida's playing the best basketball of anybody in the country right now.
For sure.
Juggernaut.
R.I.P. Norfolk State.
Thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
R.I.P. I think we're all probably picking Florida in this one. Realistically, I don't think they're going to struggle at all.
I don't think the question's necessary. Yeah.
Florida by a million.
Yeah. Better question is, will the MEAC ever send another team to the tournament again after what Florida's about to do to them?
UConn, Oklahoma too. It's like another this is going to be a Dan Hurley spot. He's not going to get fucking beat by Oklahoma in the first round.
Give me UConn.
I have UConn. I have UConn winning this one.
Same.
The UConn's guards are going to have fears and fucking hell in this game. I think UConn wins this one pretty handily. And then Memphis, Colorado State. Sorry, Christian, I got to go with Colorado State here.
I got Colorado State too.
Yeah, Colorado State's one of the hottest teams in the nation. Memphis, obviously, we have the concern with. I'm so fucking bad with names.
Tyrese Hunter.
Tyrese Hunter. Thank you. Yeah, obviously we have the concern with Tyrese Hunter being out. They are not going to be the same team without him. And yeah, Colorado State's red hot coming into this tournament, coming off the.
They made 12 threes last game.
Yeah. Colorado State's favored in this game as a 12 seed.
Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know.
Memphis, I mean, people are going to – if Colorado State wins this game, there's going to be the takes of, this is a referendum on Memphis and Penny and they were overseeded and they don't play anybody and that type of stuff. And, I don't think that's going to be the case. Memphis had a great season and they deserve to be here. But
it's just a bad draw.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible draw. If I was any 5 seed, I would not have wanted to see the Rams there.
No
I'll be going with Colorado State in this one. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go Memphis. I think PJ Haggerty's going to have an absolutely massive game. Colorado State, they're a good team. Shout out Ethan Morton, mono survivor Ethan Morton. I just think Memphis, they took care of business in a couple close games in the American this weekend. I think they're going to be good even without Tyrese Hunter. Hopefully he gets healthy for them. I think they take care of business against Colorado State.
Yeah, so I definitely have Memphis winning in this one, especially with how, because of Colorado State's rated highly, they're known to play down to competition, but I don't think they'll be surprised by this one. But I will say, from when this pod was released, when these couple matchups were released, my family group chat lit up because I have a lot of family that went to Memphis, but my siblings went to their Terrapins. They went to University of Maryland, so my whole family's kind of wanting to see this Memphis Maryland in the round of 32. So, which I'm definitely hoping for that. So that should be very interesting. But I'm definitely going Memphis in this one. And I guess to kind of look ahead, I'm going Maryland against GC. I don't know if I'm pretty sure everyone had picked that last one, but
Matt still.
Matt.
Yeah, this is going to be battle of the supporting cast. Nick Clifford is a stud for Colorado State. For those of you who haven't watched, and Colorado State's obviously playing out of their minds, just absolutely doing everything they needed to do to get into the tournament. And yeah, PJ Haggerty for Memphis is the American Player of the Year. He is he's maybe the best scorer in the tournament. I mean, just scoring talent alone. He had 27 on Auburn. He had 27 on Virginia. Had 27 on Mississippi State. Had a 15-point game against Wichita State, and then followed that up a couple weeks later and just hung 42 on him the other day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a machine. And yeah, the Tyrese Hunter, they need him badly. He's gone deep in the NCAA tournament with Iowa State, with Texas. He's having his best season of his career this year. So they really need him back. But yeah, very fun game to watch. That should be. PJ Haggerty will probably have to go for around 30 to beat this version of Colorado State, the version that's just seemingly cannot get beat by anyone. So yeah, it's not the best matchup for Memphis. They got a really, really hot team. It'd be interesting to see if Colorado State plays with the same desperation now that they made it. They haven't really had to the whole season. They've had the regular season Mountain West that they've had to be pushed for with New Mexico, and then obviously they had their season on the line, being on the bubble. So yeah, it's going to be a different vibe for Colorado State. So that'll be interesting. But regardless, I think both teams get beat by Maryland here. But yeah, I will. I'll take Memphis in a close one.
All right. Next one we got Maryland Grand Canyon. Christian already alluded he was going Maryland. Yeah. I'm going Maryland as well. I think Grand Canyon's good enough that they can make this entertaining, but I don't think Maryland's going to have to sweat this one out too hard. I mean, certainly a great team, great program Bryce Drew has built there, but I think Maryland shouldn't have any problems here, so I will stick with the Terrapins.
I'll say if Maryland does lose, I think they'll find a way to do it in like the worst heartbreaking fashion. I'm sure you all saw their last game where it came down to another crazy last second heartbreaking shot. It seems like all their losses come in that type of fashion. But yeah, I have Maryland picking this one.
Didn't Maryland lose like their last 4 losses were like buzzer beaters?
Yep. Or within like the last like 2 seconds. Yeah.
That was like Purdue a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Give me the crab 5.
Yeah, the crab 5 for sure.
Give me Maryland. I'm a big believer in Maryland this year. Derek Queen and Jacoby Gillespie. They're both freaking good. I think they beat Grand Canyon pretty easily. I don't think this Grand Canyon team is as good as they were last year. Of course, they snuck by in the WAC, snuck by Utah Valley once again. Their last year in the WAC, going to the Mountain West next year, the reformed Mountain West. I think Maryland wins this pretty easily.
Yeah, mad respect for Grand Canyon and Brian Graham Foster, but yeah, Maryland should pretty easily, I would say. They just do not match up well. Grand Canyon with Maryland, so Maryland I think is 10.5 this game. I would say Maryland probably should win by 15.
All right, so we're all Maryland. Next game, this is another one that's just tough to pick because it's such a huge clash of styles. Drake and Missouri. It's a tough one. I'm curious to hear what everybody. I picked Mizzou here. Yeah, I mean, I just like William Luke alluded to earlier. I'm definitely kind of leaning these SEC teams in these toss-up games because they've gone through the gauntlet all year. So, like, they're not going to back down from everybody. I mean, Mizzou doesn't defend particularly well, and Drake obviously does. So, if Drake can really slow him down and drag him down in this game, it'll be – because Mizzou has struggled with those slower teams. In fact, let me make sure I'm not just going against what I put in my actual bracket. But yeah, I think I like Mizzou here. Let me see what I picked Drake in my bracket, so I'm going against exactly what I put. But yeah, I mean that goes to show where I'm at on this game. Definitely one I'm back and forth on. But Mizzou has struggled with those kind of slower, knockdown, drag out teams in the SEC. Like they got beat pretty bad by A&M earlier this year. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I guess I'll stick with my gut since I picked Drake and I was going on here giving the pitch for Mizzou. But in that case, since I picked, I don't know. It's a back and forth one. It's a tough one to pick. I don't have a strong read on this one either way.
I'm going to stick with Missouri. That's what I initially picked. And that Florida game, they ended up losing, but there was times where they were down double digits and they would just keep fighting back against probably the hottest team in America right now in Florida. Like, they made shots. They don't defend super well like you alluded to, but they did make some plays on the defensive end. It's a really good Florida team. So, and again, like I'm going to use this like kind of like just to my advantage. if there's an SEC team in a matchup where I'm like, all right, it's kind of a 50-50, I'm going to go with the SEC team. So I'm just going to stick with Missouri in this one.
Yeah, and you'd probably be right because of how dominant the SEC is, especially this year. But in this one, I chose Drake. I think it'd be kind of cool to see him win, and as a lower seed. But I think it is kind of a toss up. I think there's going to be a ton of people picking Drake also. But yeah, they're 30-3. I think they're a pretty solid team. Both teams are, but yeah, I went with Drake in this one.
I picked Drake as well. I was a big believer in Missouri earlier in the season, but they've kind of fallen off. I still like Dennis Gates as a coach, but I don't think this is a very good matchup for Missouri. If they were with another 11 seed, I could see them potentially winning, but Drake is just a bad matchup for them. I think Drake wins this. It'll be close. It'll be a close game either way. I think Drake's a better team at this point. Missouri's too inconsistent. But I still love Dennis Gates' offense. I think Missouri, if they win, they could easily be a Sweet 16 team, just as much as getting eliminated in the first round. So we'll see how that goes. But I have Drake here.
Yeah, I am on Drake as well. I think Missouri's had a great season. I don't think it's anything about them. It's just kind of all about Drake, really. In this one, they dominated their non-conference. They beat Vanderbilt by 11 on a neutral court. They beat Kansas State in what was basically a road game for them as well. It's the best story in college basketball. I think it's the best story in the tournament. Ben McCollum, who is going to be everyone's favorite head coaching candidate pretty soon here. 4-time Division II national champion. The guy just was absurd, like 395 and 91 in his career at Northwest Missouri State. Brings most of the starting five from last year to Drake, including Bennett Sturts, who was the Missouri Valley Player of the Year. He is the best player you have never heard of. He leads college basketball in minutes played. He leads minutes per game. Mitch Muscari, his teammate, who also was former D2, is second in minutes played. Win shares. He's ahead of Cooper Flagg. He leads college basketball in win shares. He's got 8.6 win shares. For context, Janai has 5.8 win shares. Cooper Flagg has 7.4 win shares. Offensive win shares. He leads college basketball in offensive win shares, 5.7. Cooper Flagg has 4.5. He's third in the country in defensive win shares. He's the best player in this game. He's one of the best players in the country that nobody gives any credit to. It's a really fun team. Tavion Banks, they have Missouri Valley Sixth Man of the Year. He started the season pretty slow, but he's come on strong towards the end of the year. Their best lineup recently has been with him at the 5 now. They got Daniel Brady at the 4, Isaiah Howard at the 3. He's the only freshman who gets minutes for them, and then that Muscari starts backcourt. That just plays the literal entire game. They're number 1 in steals percentage. They force steals or turnovers on 22% of their opponent's possessions all year. And I don't think people understand they are the slowest team in the country in tempo by a considerable margin. So, when people say it's a contrasting styles, I don't think it's given enough credit. I think Drake is kind of made for this type of tournament, and I would, it's a position where I would be a little surprised if Missouri beat him.
It's the same as that BYU VCU game where it just really comes down to who can play their style of basketball. Like it's it's so hard to predict games like that.
Impossible. Yeah, you can't really. I mean, if Missouri gets out to an 18-point lead in the first half, that game's over. It's not a game that Drake's gonna come back into. They haven't had to do that all season. So, the only games they've lost, it's been really close games at Bradley. They've and Bradley's another really slow team. So, yeah, if Missouri really gets going and like Caleb Groh or Tamar Bates just start raining threes, they're in trouble. But Drake is just so disciplined that it's hard to see them getting into a position where they're making mistakes, and it's just a really, really hard team to beat. They're 30-3 for good reason. So that should be just really good type fascinating game there. It's really just that 6 guys, like 5 or 6 guys for Drake. So that Missouri should be trying to push the pace on them as much as they can.
Right. So that's 4 Drakes and 1 Missouri. So next one, anybody going Wilmington before we get into the best pod of this whole bracket? Is there any reason?
I mean, I went Texas Tech there, but
Yeah.
I could see UNC Wilmington pulling an upset.
I could not.
Neither can I.
Texas Tech is good, man. I know you were high on Wilmington coming in here. That's tough.
Yeah, just
that's
a bad
tough
matchup. I picked Texas Tech.
All right, let's get into this. This is the best pot of this whole bracket. First, we mentioned the 3 coaches. Shout out to Omaha, the trash can smashers.
Yes.
They could really disrupt this whole thing if they can pull an upset over St. John's somehow, which I don't foresee. I don't think any of us are touching that. So
no,
we can focus on this Arkansas.
Yeah,
Kansas
St. John's
game.
winning for sure.
St. John's, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, this Arkansas Kansas game, man. I picked Kansas in this game. I mean, this is 2 teams where two of the biggest underperforming, underachieving teams in the nation this year, with Kansas and Arkansas, and obviously 2 of the big name coaches in college basketball. This pod was made for TV. Like, this is insane. And I go with Kansas here because with what we've seen with Cal in the last few tournaments, and we get down to what's probably going to be a low score and close game. Like, I trust Bill Self a hell of a lot more in this situation, in game, in a close game, than I do Cal. And I just think Bill Self will be able to figure out a way to. But like, Arkansas does have the added factor that Boogie Flan should be back for this game. He has resumed basketball activities, so we'll see what happens there. I don't know if that'll be a quick enough turnaround to get him back in the lineup. So that's still a question mark. I don't know if that helps Arkansas. Like, they kind of figured their season out after Boogie Flan.
Yeah, they were 0-5 in SEC play without him, or with him rather.
Yeah, so I mean that could throw a whole freaking wrench into this thing that we're not even talking about. But yeah, and just what's going to probably be a low scoring, grinded out game. It's like, I just trust Bill Self here a lot more than I do Cal. So I'm going Kansas in this one. I think Dickinson will have a big game too. He'll preserve his college career for another couple days. And I'm going Kansas here, but I mean, definitely a fun matchup.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of piggyback off your point,
I think it's a super fun matchup.
When it comes to, like, the coaching aspect, I do trust Bill Self more, and also Kansas is just the more experienced team in this spot. Like, if this gets down to be like a really close game at the end, I trust Kansas to make the smarter play than I trust Arkansas. So I'm going to take Kansas in this one.
Yeah, I'm also taking Kansas. I think it'll be a very fun, very, very fun matchup. But I see Cal having a first-round entry in this one.
Give me Arkansas over Kansas in this game. I think Arkansas, they're hotter as a team. I think they have played better down the stretch than Kansas has. Kansas is just falling apart. Hunter Dickinson, like that, just that whole team chemistry is off. I think Arkansas wins there.
Yeah, this is for one, Kansas is better than Arkansas, I would say, like, on paper. there's Arkansas has not had Edu Thiero, who's their second leading scorer after Boogie Fland there. Boogie Fland will help. I don't know if, it's a weird dynamic because, like, I do think Cal has done, I don't think it's his best coaching job, as some has suggested. But, for them to go 8-10 in the SEC with what they've had to deal with and just getting into the tournament, I think for them has kind of been a win. Kansas is in the opposite direction. I can't really tell if they want the season to be over or because this is a good draw for them objectively. They got a team who has struggled to score, and that is right up their alley kind of because they're in the same boat. So, yeah, I would probably lean on Kansas in this one, just based on talent alone. And, Bill Self being just a superior in-game coach certainly helps also. So, yeah, I would say this is a Kansas one.
Yeah, and the dynamic of jamming Boogie Fland back in the lineup after he's been out for so long and then getting him back in the tournament, it's just like there's not going to be any chemistry there. It's going to be a weird setup to have him back in the lineup after he's been out for so long, and
they're putting him in for one reason. The only reason they want him in so bad is because he can score, and they've had such issues scoring, especially with some of the guards. So they're putting him in. They're just like, dude, if you can score 25 this game, you're going to have to do it because, we can't really score as is. So I think that's the only reason they're really trying to force him back in, chemistry or not. They're just like, that guy can get a bucket on his own better than anyone they have on that team. So, that is, I would say, the main reason. I don't think they really care at this point, what the chemistry is. They're just like, we need someone to spot us single-handedly 20 points here. And, they can get that with him. That's something they, haven't really had without him.
As much as I hate Arkansas and Cal, though, I am kind of rooting for Arkansas here, so we get that
100%.
Cal game.
100%.
Yeah.
Kansas has been a miserable team all season. Just no fun to watch, really. And yeah, Arkansas seems to want to be there. They have the minimum requirement. So yeah, I of course, cheering for Arkansas.
So, all right, we'll do Sweet 16 and lead it out of here, and then we'll throw it around for everybody to do their Final Four and national champions. So, Sweet 16 here, I got Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, and St. John's. Going with the chalk pretty much through there. But I am going with the upset. I'm going with Maryland to pull the upset over Florida. Maryland, from a talent standpoint, they don't have the depth that Florida does, but Maryland matches up with Florida well. Maryland has those bigs in the front court that will neutralize. We've seen Florida be so dominant because of their offensive rebounding, and Maryland has the bigs that should neutralize that.
Absolutely,
they are good enough in the front court to stop that offensive rebounding, and Maryland also has the guards that can shoot it with anybody in the nation, including Florida. And those are the two things why we've seen Florida dooring teams through the SEC they have is those advantages. And I think Maryland just matches up well with Florida from that standpoint and will neutralize those for Florida. And yeah, I think I'm going with Maryland there. Everybody's going to be picking, a lot of people are going to be picking Florida to win their national championship. And it's we always see upsets, and it's I don't know, one of these one seeds is going to get picked off before they should. And this is a tough region for Florida. And a lot of people are, like I said, are picking them to walk to a national championship. But I think Maryland, Florida's going to have the advantage in the depth against Maryland because Maryland is not a super deep team. But yeah, there's that. And Florida also does not shoot free throws well. And that could, if this is a close one and it gets down to it, that could really hurt Florida down the stretch in here. They are a 72% free throw shooting team, and that could come back to haunt them. So I think Florida is right now the best team in the nation. They're playing the best basketball in the nation, but I think Maryland is good enough to and matches up well with them. So I'm going with Maryland to upset Florida, and I'm going with Texas Tech over St. John's. I just think St. John's inability to shoot the ball from deep is going to catch up to them. I've been saying it at some point, like they're good, but I don't like they can go to a Final Four, but like they're gonna have a tough time if they don't shoot it better. And I think Texas Tech is good enough. Like Texas Tech plays so well on both ends of the floor, and then that leaves me with that Texas Tech Maryland Elite Eight matchup, which I was torn on that game. I went with Maryland there. Like I said, like one of the best starting fives in the nation, Crab Five, as we alluded to.
Yeah.
I'm going with. We had our whole discussion for a while about will a Big Ten team go to the Final Four, and I was going through the bracket and debating if I was going to do it, and I'm doing it. I'm going with Maryland over Texas Tech to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, for me in that in the West, I got Florida over UConn. I got Maryland over Colorado State. I have Texas Tech over Missouri, and then St. John's over Kansas. I got Texas Tech over St. John's, Florida over Texas Tech, and then obviously I alluded to Florida, so I have Florida over Maryland. So I have Florida representing the West in the Final Four.
I mean, I went in my bracket. I went Florida over UConn, Maryland over Memphis, Texas Tech over Drake, and St. John's over Arkansas. I went pretty much chalk. St. John's over Texas Tech and Florida over Maryland. And then I picked Florida over St. John's. I think that game could go either way, but I think Florida's offensive firepower is just going to carry them through the tournament. I don't think St. John's is their run's going to come up a little bit short in the Elite Eight. Which should be a great year for the Red Storm under Rick Pitino. But I just think Florida's too powerful at this point. They are the best team in the nation, in my opinion.
So my Sweet 16 for this one is Florida versus Memphis, and I do have Florida winning that game. And the other one, I actually have Drake versus St. John's. I have Drake beating Texas Tech in the matchup before that. But
what a rock fight that would be!
Yeah.
Drake and St. John's.
Yeah. But I actually have St. John's beating Florida in the Elite Eight, and so that'll be my last Final Four spot. They're actually the only non-1 seed I'm picking, and I've really enjoyed watching St. John's all year. They're well coached, very fundamentally sound team. They're scrappy. They play hard. I like watching them play. I think they're going to make a Final Four run this year, but.
So this is a tough one here. Not the top half. I think the top half's fairly like Florida they match up really well with pretty much all those teams that they'd have to get to an Elite Eight. I do think UConn will play them really, really tough. I think that is a game that UConn has the bigs that they can at minimum make things pretty tough on Florida. But I would say probably Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, and then I have Texas Tech, Kansas in Sweet 16. I think St. John's is the first 2 seed to go out. I think this is not a good matchup for St. John's, and ultimately, again, like Kansas has more talent than the St. John's team. They cannot score in their own right. This matchup just kind of fell into their laps. So I would say that it's Florida, Texas Tech, Elite Eight, and I'll send Florida to the Final Four.
All right, so that's so I got Maryland, William Luke has Florida. Who'd you pick again, Christian? Florida? Or no, you picked St. John's.
St. John's, yeah, I have St. John's in this one.
And then Jacob has Florida and Matt has Florida. So we got 3 Floridas. All right, It's Final Four time. Who wants to go first? I don't remember everybody's Final Four off the top of my head or anything. None of you better fucking like say somebody different than you said when we did our predictions. Because
I'll go first.
Don't do that. But yeah, whatever order anybody wants to go in, it's Final Four time. Let's do this.
Yeah, so I'll go first. Yeah, so my Final Four, I have Auburn coming out of the South. I have Wisconsin coming out of the East, Tennessee out of the Midwest, and then Florida out of the West. I have Florida over Auburn. I have Wisconsin over Tennessee. Then I have Florida beating Wisconsin in the Natty.
All right. It's one Natty pick for the Gators.
So I can go next. In the one matchup, I have Auburn against St. John's and Duke versus Houston. In my national championship, I have Auburn against Houston, which I think is going to be a great game. But I think this is Auburn's year. I know they've had a little rough patch, but I really, it's kind of since the beginning of the year, I felt like they're truly the best team in the country. And I feel like they're going to start, as of this week, really putting the pieces together and end up winning the national title. I just feel it's their year.
So who'd you have Auburn beating in the national championship?
Houston.
Okay.
Yep. And I think that'll be I
hope you're right.
National championship matchup. Yeah. Yeah. I think they're due for one.
God, I wish.
I guess I'll go next. I have Michigan State versus Florida, or Michigan State from the South Regional, Florida from the West Regional, Duke from the East Regional, and Houston from the Midwest. I have Florida over Michigan State, and then Houston over Duke, and then I have Florida over Houston in the national championship.
You said Florida over Houston?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I got Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, and I think that Duke-Bama game, the Elite Eight, has the potential to be all-time stuff. I want to do the funniest thing ever and put Bama in, so I have 4 SEC teams in the Final Four, and I get my revenge from the College Football Playoff Committee, giving them a middle finger, but I will put Duke in, and I will say Duke beats Auburn for national championship. I think that
So you have all 4 1 seeds.
What's that?
So you have all 4 1 seeds.
No, I do not. I have Tennessee.
Oh, you had Tennessee. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, you'll see a pretty similar that 10 years ago now, which is crazy, but that Auburn team kind of has some 2015 Wisconsin parallels, how they play offense through Janai, how Wisconsin did through Frank Kaminsky, and this Duke team just I would say that matchup they had in the beginning of the season was first round, and now I would say that Duke probably at full strength is the best team. And just
I never thought I'd see the day you're here picking Duke.
I know, right? Against Auburn.
He's sold out.
I hate it. Yeah. I mean, Florida's the best team. So I think Florida should on paper win. If you put a gun to my head, that's what I would say. But yeah, I do not see the whole in Duke's game. I don't see if they're locked in on defense, that's a very difficult matchup. So yeah, I would probably lean in that direction, but I will probably change my mind. Full disclosure, by Wednesday, guilty as charged. So I might have to come on here from now until Thursday at noon to change my pick, because
there you go.
Yeah. So we'll see. But.
So my Final Four, I had Auburn, Maryland, Duke, and Tennessee. And then in that semifinal, I'm going Auburn over Maryland, and I'm going Tennessee over Duke. I don't think Duke's played a team like Tennessee all year. They've kind of been getting by in that weak ACC schedule. and I think it's like they're going to see a physical team like Tennessee that they haven't played all year, and like it's going to be a tough matchup for them. And I think the Volunteers are going to come out on top there. And also, like, we got the Cooper Flag injury stuff to worry about. Like, I don't know. I think Duke's inexperience is going to catch. Like, we just rarely see teams led by freshmen like Duke is make a national championship run. I have them going to the Final Four with some of a favorable draw the way my bracket played out. But Tennessee, with their experience and like their physicality, I think they got a real chance to come there and punch Duke in the mouth and get the win there. And then the national championship, I have a rematch for the third time this year, a grudge match between Auburn and Tennessee for the national championship, and I have to go with Auburn in that. I can't sit here and say Auburn's going to lose in the national championship in good faith, so I will go Auburn over Tennessee for my national title.
Not surprised.
Um,
Oh my gosh. It's like, see, in front of me, I have a bracket I haven't filled out yet. Like, I still am not willing to put pen to paper on some of this and put my name to it. Now I want to change to, like, Florida over Tennessee because that game was so good today. I don't know, but that's the time of the year we're in, I guess, so.
Well, the refs fucking ruined that game today. That was horrible. But,
boy, they got to work out, yeah.
So we got me and Christian on Auburn, William Luke and Jacob on Florida, and Matt on Duke. That's our national champion picks. That's about it. We got Cody tweeted out earlier on the Sectator account, but I assume everybody in here is doing the $20 bracket pool. I see we got 85 people in here listening. Yeah, if anybody wants to do that, send a DM. We'll get you in. Trying to get that around and have some fun, but $20 buy-in for that. If you think our picks throughout the show were stupid, you have a perfect chance to fade us and make some money. So yeah, go ahead. If you want in, DM me or One Shining Recap or Sectator or whatever, and we'll get you in there and send $20 and have a chance to make some money. But yeah, that should about do it. I think we did a great breakdown. We're over 3 hours now. Anybody got anything else before we call it a wrap?
Nope.
I'm ready for Thursday.
I am too.
Hold on. You got to get through watching North Carolina at Dayton first before you get to Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
And Alabama State, St. Francis.
Yes, sir.
I will actually watch that game because I'm a sicko, but that's besides the point. Travis died.
Oh no.
He made it 3 hours. I mean, it's been very impressive otherwise.
Yeah, we've done pretty good without, other than
given the tornadoes in your area and everything. Yeah.
Other than you speaking through water that one time and Christian tapping his pen, we did pretty good.
yeah, I think so.
We did all right.
Me and William Luke are leaving at 3 a.m. to make the trek up to Lexington on Thursday, and we're going to all 4 games.
Dogs.
There, it's gonna be a long day. Like, I don't think the last game tips off there until 9:30. So the Utah State UCLA game. That's gonna be a 2 energy drink kind of day. That might be a 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one.
There will be some energy drinks consumed on Thursday, but yeah, we're making the trip up to Lexington to see all 4 games and then 2 on Saturday.
I'm actually so hype.
Yeah,
that'll be a good time.
Wait. I cannot fucking wait. This is the best time of the year.
Absolutely.
It's the madness. It's here.
I'm ready to go now.
Hell yeah, boys. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Like I said, let me know if you want to join our bracket pool. We'll get you in. Make sure you like, subscribe, Sectator Media on YouTube. Check it out. Thanks to the Left Turn Cult for letting us stream this on their channel. As always, they've been great hosts for us this season and help us get this in front of more eyes and trying to build Sectator up here. But yeah, this is our biggest show of the year for sure. So we really appreciate everybody tuning in. And I'm we are like we did last year, planning on trying to go live every night at the end of the night and discuss the games from that day. So I mean, it'll just depend on I mean, I know me and William Luke will be in fucking Lexington, so that
Boots
won't be
on
any
the
problem
ground.
for us this weekend.
No.
But yeah, and if the three of you guys can make it, or you have to miss one night or whatever, but planning tentatively to go live each night, Thursday through Sunday, to discuss the action of that day. So it's gonna be fun.
It will
But
be
yeah,
fun.
thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll see
Appreciate
you.
y'all.
Yes, sir.